Let me get those mics.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
Huh? Good?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm down for whatever. I'm just here. You want me to take this off? Or keep this?
I guess, yeah, that's
Whatever you want.
It's
It's okay. I'm not picky. Oh,
Oh.
okay.
Can't get you. Beautiful. Okay.
Over here?
I don't know which camera.
Yeah, so, yes, let me pan out. Okay, perfect. You're good to go?
Okay, thank you so much for taking some time to talk to me today. I have just a couple of questions I wanted to ask you. You know, being a college student, I'm always trying to get everyone into Bitcoin at my university. But should I be telling them to build on Bitcoin, or should they just be focusing on stacking sats?
The first thing you should be focusing on is stacking sats.
Okay.
And then as they understand the protocol more, probably want them to move their time and energy to build on Bitcoin.
Okay, I like that answer. So, being a finance major and minoring in economics, I'm surrounded by all the finance bros. Do you think traditional finance is still something that they should be focusing on?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And this is what I talk about all the time, but the natural state of the market is deflation.
They get nervous a lot.
So we compete to provide each other value. And the only way we can create more value is if we create something better than we did before. The output of us using the things that create more value for us, entrepreneurs creating more value, it has to be deflation.
Right.
So why is it that we measure that from a system that steals the inflation from us, like steals the abundance from us, and concentrates it up to very few people? There's no way to fix what I just described from a system that can't allow inflation. So a credit-based system can't allow inflation. Yet most people in the world are measuring their life through a credit-based system. It has to be based to get worse and worse and worse. And they're on a treadmill playing a zero-sum game on that treadmill. Well, it's getting worse and worse. And then they ask themselves, why is this getting worse and worse? It's their own actions within that game.
So you think it's all by design?
It's the system problem can't be resolved from the system creating the problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's so what I just did there is instead of saying it's a person problem, it's a system problem.
Right.
Whether it's by design or not, we contribute to whatever system we want to live in. And all somebody has to do is move their time into Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And they've resolved that paradox for themselves. So now they're in a different system. It rewards the free market. All prices will fall through them forever. And so now if they wanted to build on top of that system and provide more value, it's pretty easy.
So it makes me think when I try to talk about those things in college, the traditional finance people say that inflation is necessary. That's why it was made this way. What's your view on that and compared to deflation with Bitcoin?
To ask them why they believe that's true. And it is true that a credit-based system requires inflation, because a credit-based system is lent into existence. And if it allowed the free market or deflation to work, that money that was lent into existence would evaporate. So from a credit-based system, they're right. But ask a different question. why do you think it takes you just being able to manipulate money, steal productivity that should flow to society, to be able to live in a free market? Right? So, because inflation only comes from that. It only comes from the theft of your money and time. And so, if you believe that what rate of theft is okay? Right?
Interesting.
So, and remember, the theft isn't from zero. The theft is from the productivity rate that is naturally in the world. So if AI is moving faster and faster, and that productivity rate is faster inflation, then people measuring at 2% or 3% inflation are only seeing the top of the iceberg. Most of the iceberg is way below. It should be every year your life should get better, easier, from the natural process of the free market, other people competing to provide value. And it gets abstracted from you into the system. So it's a better thing to ask those people that says inflation is required for. Because what they're really saying is, I believe somebody has to steal money for you to be able to buy things. And if you designed a world like that, where then what if you stole more money so they bought things faster? It seems like a ludicrous way to design the world.
Yeah. I really like the way you framed that. I'm definitely going to use that in my arguments. I also know that you're super into AI, and I like to think of AI with Bitcoin, but also kind of in the way that they're both competing for energy. Like, what do you think about that? Do you think it's going to be a race to see which one's going to come out on top, or?
So people are conflating two different ideas in AI. AI is a productivity tool that is another product. Similar to a steam engine.
Okay.
But it's a massive productivity tool that removes labor. Right? And what is AI? And in economics, a pretty simple concept in a free market is prices fall to the marginal cost of production.
Okay.
So then you have to ask, what is AI? And how is AI created? A line of code creates another line of code. What's the cost of that?
And it builds off.
The price of a line of code, the same reason why your calculator app is free on your phone. Because it's a line of code. A line of code creating other lines of code eventually becomes free. But the only thing measuring that is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is measuring all prices falling.
Right.
Most people are measuring Bitcoin by converting Bitcoin to their piece of paper, which is devaluing, and they think Bitcoin's going up. So Bitcoin is the anchor to energy, the anchor to physics that allows the free market to work.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I have one more question. I wanted to ask if you could give advice to your younger self when you were 20 years old, what would you say?
Learn, curiosity, anything that keeps on repeating in your life isn't the world conspiring against you, it's you conspiring against the world.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was a great.
Good man.
Cool.
Would you have 5 minutes for
Yep,
Jill?
you bet.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Questions
Okay.
for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Am I putting this right? Okay, cool. Okay, great. Awesome.
Okay.
Ready?
Yes.
Well, my name's Jill Ford, and I actually went to prison for misspending a COVID loan. So some of my questions for you are actually about second chances and starting over, because I was actually mining Bitcoin in prison, and it's something that really helped me out. And so now I'm really passionate about helping other people out. So one of the questions is, how can I get even started in Bitcoin when, my paycheck isn't going very far and it's hard to save? So what would be your advice to a person like that?
Yeah, so we construct reality out of our past, and we don't see the infinite future that's possible because we constrain the infinite future through our past.
Right.
And then you see people in the same pattern over and over in life, and they stay in a trajectory all of their life.
Right.
What it sounds like you did
Yes.
is you had a 0 to 1 moment that changed the trajectory, and now you see a totally different idea. Same thing is true in Bitcoin from a it doesn't matter how much money you have. I've had people come to me that were living in vans,
Mhm.
were homeless,
Right.
that decided to stop buying coffee every day and buy a little bit of Bitcoin every day,
Right.
that their lives are completely changed today
Right.
because of their action inside a protocol that couldn't be released. And so their lives are getting better and better and better.
Right.
So I have the same advice. Just a tiny, the biggest thing is learn why.
Right.
And then with that knowledge, create a better path for yourself.
So my next question for you is, how do you keep such a positive attitude when there's so many, traps within our system today? Because I was in a big trap.
Yeah.
So
Only I control my thoughts.
right.
And we live in a system that's trying to get us to
Right.
feed energy to it with our
Right.
energy.
Yeah.
But I control my own thoughts. I control events happen to me,
Right.
but I control how I perceive those. And so that allows me a way to stay above the noise, above the fray that the world's going through right now.
Right. So do you believe that someone that has just filed bankruptcy and is in financial ruin is able to be able to restart with Bitcoin?
100%. I went to zero
Right.
in 2017. My company was $500 million in value.
Yeah.
I owned 20% of it. I put debt into it, and I went to zero. And I could not pay my rent at the end of the month. I left my company
Yeah.
as the debt provider was going to take it into bankruptcy.
Right. I think
Yep.
Yeah.
And I had zero. Young family, nothing.
Right.
And everything that came from that point was just a different thought. Nothing changed.
Right.
At that point, I still have all my family, friends, everyone I cared about. Nothing changed.
Right.
My perspective changed to be able to create more money.
Right. Do you ever feel like that happened? That was a blessing that happened, that you hit rock bottom to?
Yeah. So I would have stayed trapped into that company.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have seen what was possible.
Right.
Without being at the bottom, and what real value looked like. Real value wasn't the money you made.
Right.
The real value was the relationships you built.
And the time. It's so important. That's one thing that I really learned in prison was it didn't matter what I had or how much money I had, but time was really important and that the government really wants to take our time.
Right.
So do you believe that the government really pushes people to be on a W-2 income so that they can steal our time?
I don't think it as fiendish as that.
Okay.
I don't think there's any they controlling it.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is it's easy to believe that because we're trapped in the system.
Right. Yeah.
But we choose to be trapped in the system. It's like people are, your analogy, people are inside the jail,
Right.
yelling at their captors.
Yeah.
Well, the jail cell's door is open and they can just move to the new system.
Absolutely.
And they don't have to wait.
Right.
Nobody has to get, Bitcoin's permissionless.
Right.
It's open.
Right.
They don't, it needs no one telling you what you can and can't do. You can just move your time. And when you move your time, you free yourself.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for answering all my questions today. I really love your story. I didn't know that about you, and I'm like, that's really awesome. Because I've been there too, and it's really inspiring to see where you're at today.
Thank you.
Gives me hope. So thank you.
Awesome.
Cool.
Jeff, how are you?
I should probably
Go.
run.
Okay. So, man, when you're in town, when you're in Florida, we'd love to accommodate you, get you in this whole weekend.
Okay.
And introduce some people and have some more time. Really.
So I may be able to do, you have something in is it November or no, January?
Yes.
You have a conference. I may be able to come. Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
I wanted to give you my card
Oh,
just in
awesome.
case.
Awesome.
Anything you need help with?
Okay. Thank you.
Of course.
Thanks.
So
Hey, nice meeting you.
Yeah, nice meeting you. Bye.
Yeah.
So he's going to be at Bitcoin Day.
Yeah, that's what I got.
I'm only there.
Yeah.
So, this mindset,
What a way to.
Anyhow,
I know, it's like,
Thank you, Brian.
okay, well,
Charlie, what's up, man?
Hey.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Thank you. Hi, how are you? You look so cute. Thank you.
at the art.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we're back in an hour. I'm joking. I'm grabbing coffee.
I know.
You know who she is. Like, y'all need to I just would love to have a chat.
Yeah, of course.
Try to make it happen. So if for now we just do a little teaser, and then I'm gonna go to so like you got the film that just came out.
I know.
Congrats,
Thank
you know, your
you.
birthday is here.
I
You're
know,
out
it's
here
my birthday
celebrating.
yesterday.
So it's just this is so cool. So you just want to pick up from there. I'd love to get through it.
Sure.
All right, so if you position right here, you got both these cameras on you.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Here, I'm gonna give this to you too.
For sure.
Awesome. All right, just are we ready? Wait,
give
I'll
it
wait
one
for his
correction.
expertise.
Okay, good to go.
So, well, thank you for being here with me today.
Of course, it's so good to see you again.
So I have some questions for you because I just got out of prison and I know that you were, well, not recently, but in the past you had a loved one in prison. And so my question for you is, what is one way that someone can support a loved one with a loved one in prison?
I think it's really important to just really be that support system for that person because a lot of times the people that are in that situation, they don't have anyone in their corner.
Yeah.
So I think it's really great that, Charlie's an amazing guy, and of course I'd be there for him anyway, but the fact that I could be there for him by sending commissary money, from a Walgreens and, just random stuff. And, I left New York and used to, take care of him, and I got a job at a winery, and then I was sending those paychecks to him, to the commissary. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So now you're in the Bitcoin industry and you've been here for a little while.
Yeah, I've been in since 2013.
Yeah,
So,
you have been in a
It's been a
while.
long time,
So why Bitcoin? Why did you choose Bitcoin?
So I didn't choose Bitcoin. I fell into Bitcoin.
Yes, same.
So basically, I worked at a nightclub called EVR.
Okay.
And Charlie ended up being a silent investor in the nightclub, and we didn't know each other at the time. I was just a cocktail waitress. And I actually ended up doing the very first Bitcoin transaction to be accepted in a nightclub in New York City. And then that's how Charlie and I met. And we've just been together ever since. We just set up on a blind date, and it was like a whole thing. And everyone knew we had a crush on each other, but we didn't know anyone else knew.
Yeah.
And then it kind of just, fate happened.
That's proof of work right there.
Yep, exactly.
That's
Exactly.
awesome.
Yeah.
So looking at, you met him, dating is so much different then than it is now. So looking at today's dating and just getting to know people. Yeah, it's such a nightmare. Well,
And there's too much technology for dating right now. It just goes crazy ways.
Yes, absolutely. So I wish there was, do you think that there's a way to have a proof of work, almost like dating system? How can we put dating on the blockchain?
Oh my gosh. It's funny you say that because
Yes.
Stacy, Max and Stacy,
Mhm.
she's married us.
Yeah.
And she actually joked about our wedding being on the white paper.
I love it. I love it. That's-
Yeah, so it's funny you say that about relationships being on, on the blockchain. I don't know. I think definitely your KYC and knowing who you're talking to, proof of person, I think would be really important for, online dating.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that was just a fun question for
yeah,
you.
yeah, of course.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
To dive back into it.
I can go in there for a second.
Of course. Well, that was perfect timing. That was good.
Thank you.
Right there. I know what you're going to ask me. Well, I didn't know what I was going to ask you. Yeah, there's like 10,000. I think that would be cool to have some highlight yeah, that's really
Thank you. Very well. Thank you so much. Yeah, in fact, the Kennedy Center doesn't have access to this. We can only, once the shows start. Oh, yeah, no, yeah.
Great, sir. I might need your help.
Why do you watch the live?
Sweet guys, love this.
You can have your agenda there, you can have a line, and you, where do you want to sign right there? Basically, start here, line. Snake around that way. Around here. And you clear the area, middle point. Waiting right there. Sorry, guys. Got it. Okay. For the last day.
And now you're with them. Yeah. It's so beautiful.
Yes, you know, the suffering.
I can hang it over there. Some people get it to the bathrooms and back.
Yeah, that atmosphere.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah, I know.
They were like the
Umbrella might fit someone from the angle of it. Right there.
Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, good for the part-time. I think it better.
We're ready to look over at the same time. Say what's your right answer.
Okay.
Where did Maddie go?
Oh yeah, you snagged me.
Where did Maddie go? I was trying to tell him our idea.
Check the VIP lounge, Charlie.
Yeah. Oh, you mean
Right there, the VIP lounge.
I've already had it. So. Well, it's funny. I read it. Three. State of Wales, senators, Congress. It was like this. And then Chris and I work together. Well, I would do solicitation. Turns out I actually
Right. Oh,
like homework.
right.
It's not so much that he's a person
I wish I had.
really big.
That way, if I forget, then I can just pause. Oh, okay. They're gonna edit the heck out of it. So don't feel like you
Got out.
Oh, okay. So you just did like select all and then paste it.
now you go to the edit and then copy it.
Yeah.
You as a victim, you don't get to say whether or not. It's okay. So there's going to be we'll make sure that I can see the other way around. And that's really is not there. So that they can send you bigger by using it.
I made a video about that after I posted that. I didn't even do it.
Like that.
3 videos later.
They said you're my best friend. Love seeing you.
And I guess, like just scroll down to see like when someone's following. Right. People were, and I was like, yeah.
It is a big question. From the outside. But do you want the question? No, there's just
So easy. I just been trying to take this as mainstream.
Yeah, exactly.
Rick got it.
Back of the bus.
Like I know that guy.
I've moved just because I didn't want to fly over. Okay, thank you.
So I guess now they say,
Hide the power behind us. I like Ike. All right, let's do it again. Thanks, Michael.
Try to get situated.
Well,
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd rather. I just think about I just feel like things are in especially if it's tough.
They're reading.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, folks, we're out of books. If you already have one, you can catch
Okay, you need to stay in line. Stay in line right here. Okay, I just wrote single file. Thank you.
Madison, should I line up? You want to deal with Are you ready?
Okay.
Who do we have here? We have Mr. JMD, Mr. John Drew himself, and Mr. Matty Ice in the building. What's going on, yo?
What are we live streaming?
We're live streaming right now, yeah.
Got a good shot of my chest there.
Yes, we are. Why don't you guys just like chat about your experience? We're at BTC in DC, as you know. Bitcoin Day is coming up in January, where we'll have the home team all-star lineup of the people you love, in addition to some new people such as Jeff Booth moving to the Sunshine State, right? So
Luke Dasher.
Amazing. Yeah.
So, but just
kick up the conversation. How's it been? What's been experience? What has been the experience like this past day?
Well, Matty,
it's been great, man. I don't know if I'm in the frame here. But so many powerful conversations, great networking. It's been an absolute blast to hang out with fellow Bitcoiners and talk about Bitcoin.
Yeah, what'd you do this morning?
I ran sprints with Dr. Sean Baker. That guy's an animal, man.
Did you beat him?
We didn't race. He's like, oh, we don't want to race. We're gonna go different times so we don't race. Because I didn't want to he didn't want to tear his quad. I didn't want to tear my gut. If you go at the same time, two dudes, they're gonna just naturally want to race, So we just kind of said, we'll offset a little bit, but we did probably 15 to 20 sprints, and a long little warm up there. He had me doing the A skips and the B skips and the C skips and the toe touches and all sorts of stuff, bounding, all sorts of stuff. But it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Everybody else kind of wimped out. We stayed up all night, 7:30 a.m.
He's referring to me. I wimped out.
What? You were the only one that showed up?
Yeah, everybody else bailed.
All right. Yeah. Well, my BTC and DC experience has been kind of a behind-the-scenes experience. It's really a different kind of conference. It's set in a theater, and so it's really dark in there, and the stage is lit and all that. But and most of the people are really in there, which says something about the caliber of speakers that they have. That so many people that have bought tickets and attended are interested in being in the theater and listening to the talks. Whereas a lot of the conferences that we attend, there's much more of a lobby con going on with lots of people hanging out in the hallways and talking. There hasn't been as much of that here, but speakers are great. I've had a little chat with Adam Back and with Jeff Booth, and hopefully here in the next minute or two, we're going to have a quick chat with Michael Saylor, and Samson Mao's on deck, and Representative Kamak, I don't know if I pronounced that name right, is going to come and join us. And so, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, very cool.
It is awesome to see all these opportunities just come about because of a humble beginning of Bitcoin Day with the right intention. You're getting people together to talk about Bitcoin. And now we're here at the Capitol in DC, collaborating with BTC in DC, Aurelius, right on their front door, right at their front door. And it's a good feeling. I think we're winning the culture. So
winning the culture, is there a culture war, or is it just winning the culture?
Well, we want to orange pill as many Americans and worldwide human beings as possible, right? I'm getting the signal. Okay, we're getting the signal. We're going to be joined here shortly by hopefully the man orange pilling all the institutional players worldwide, Michael Saylor.
Yes. With our new star interviewer, Madison Hansen, at Hansen Hash on Twitter. She's the president of the FGCU Crypto Club. That's Florida Gulf Coast University Crypto Club, and she's quite the ambitious young lady. And Michael Saylor retweeted one of her posts a few weeks ago, and so I showed that to Michael Saylor's assistant, and I think that's what convinced her to maybe get him over here. So we're working on that. What'd she say? Really try. Good. Really try is better than no, which is the first answer I got.
I filled it halfway, but it just spilled a bit because I was moving around.
The first answer I got when I was backstage, and I ambushed him when he walked out from backstage, was talk to my assistant. I got lots of things to do. I'm heavily scheduled.
Who said that?
Michael did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's true, right?
And then the assistant said, yeah, he's really got a lot of stuff. We probably can't do it. So I just let them walk. And then I said, she said, we're going up to the book signing. We have a book signing to do. And I said, I hollered after her. Our camera's set up right next to the book signing. And then when I came up here a little bit later.
Let's show you the book signing, shall we? Let's get him on camera. There he is, Mr. Michael Saylor, the man himself, and Madison Hansen.
He's going to come over at 3:45. There's no way. And I just like got your eyes were like, no, this is not real. I was like, oh my god.
So for the long term, she's going to be on this issue. So
yeah, you're. Have you met Ella?
Yeah, connected. I'm trying to get my crypto club started at Oh, so I can be a part of all the other presidents and stuff. Yeah, she's really nice. At that conference, I was like, this big conference. And then he asked me to be a
Of course.
So like, that's why it's like, I'm glad you're it's the first
Yeah, that's such a good strategy.
right? She's
That's really good. I'm a senior.
Yeah, I'm thinking of going to Thailand and studying my master's in international business. Yeah, great. Another part of the world. Yeah, the school I want to go to has supported students that go to we have a really nice global network. There's a lot of life differences. I've been in Georgia for the past 20 years. So I've been more out there. So I want to be able to experience that. Hanging out with friends.
We're going to over there, it's like they are, but I actually not further out. I'm not aware of it. I've been
Maybe a continued conversation.
You went to the conference.
Yeah, it was like my first
I guess it depends on who you talk to.
I can't.
It is.
Oh, in Vegas.
No, Hong Kong is definitely small. It's still really cool. And then it's my third and I can't make it to the rest of them because I have finals and graduation.
Are you graduating this year?
Oh, in the spring. So Lena is during my finals, and then the one in Vegas is during my graduation. I can't really miss my graduation.
So, y'all, we are expecting Michael Saylor any minute now. Hang tight. Stay tuned.
She said, you are.
So yeah, we're going Okay, guys, I gotta go in 1 minute. You actually do.
Hey. No, I see Madison from online. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so are you interviewing me? Yes. Okay. Okay, right here. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got Michael Saylor in the house. Thank you so much. Here. Hey.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me, reposting my video on X. That meant so much to me. I really want to talk to you about some of the hate that I've been seeing. At Florida Gulf Coast University, I founded the Crypto Club, and just by saying the word crypto, all the Bitcoin maxis are hating on me, and I don't think that that's going to help push the future adoption for Bitcoin. What do you think about that?
Well, what I said in my speech today is we're evolving from the early crypto stage to a digital assets industry. And I think that crypto has been legitimized by the President of the United States and the administration. I think that people are going to start to see that there's a place for both Bitcoin and other crypto assets. Bitcoin is digital capital. I think the other crypto networks are going to support tokenized securities and tokenized currencies and tokenized brands. There's a place for both of them, and the previous administration played off everybody against everybody and defined those differences. I think that 4 years from now, that will largely be in the rearview mirror. People are going to evolve to a much, much better place.
Yeah, I really hope so as well. And moving that to Web3, Web3 to me is crypto, AI, Bitcoin, blockchain, just the future of technology. And in the same case, saying Web3, people think that, oh, you don't care about Bitcoin, you're not a true Bitcoin asset, even though it's the one asset that I hold.
Yeah, I think probably the word digital assets and the digital asset industry will emerge to be the superset of all these things. Digital currencies, digital capital, digital tokens, digital securities, digital products, digital services, digital exchanges, digital empowerment.
Right, so it is the future, and it doesn't mean that we hate on Bitcoin. I know Bitcoin is the number one money, but why not put other things on the blockchain? Why not decentralize the rest of the world that we live in? We can't only focus on the money.
We're moving into a Cambrian explosion of innovation, digital transformation. Every industry is disrupted. Finance, banking, insurance, marketing, services, products, everything. And there's always going to be traditionalists that will have a hard time wrapping their head around a new idea. There'll be also entrepreneurs that may go a little bit too fast. They rip the wings off their airplanes. Howard Hughes crashed his own airplane, because he was too enthusiastic.
Right.
I think that's just how the way the market sorts these things out.
Awesome. I love that response. Now, you say a lot that the future is orange, and I've kind of adopted that saying, and I brought it to my college. So with all my friends and at my club, I said, the future is orange, the future is orange, and they think that I've lost my mind. Could you explain a little more, what that means to you and why you say that?
Orange represents freedom, empowerment, liberty, property rights, sovereignty, harnessing the power of technology to uplift the individual. And in the Bitcoin community, we focus upon that manifestation in the form of Bitcoin, digital capital, digital property rights, self-custody, and the freedom from unnecessary counterparties. That's the orange.
Yeah, I really love the orange movement, and I try to bring it into everything that I do. And I love that you're always posting on X those really cool AI photos with the orange dripping and all of that stuff. That is he's very inspiring to people who love it as much as I do. So I think my last question for you is, if you could look back at yourself when you were 20 years old like I am, what advice would you give to yourself?
I would say focus upon being constructive, being optimistic, embracing the technologies, trying to create beautiful things that we've never seen with new technologies that were never available. Stay cheerful.
Try to find happiness in everything that you do. Yeah, I think sometimes it can be hard. Every day it feels like it's so long. Go to class, do all these clubs, all the homework, trying to live a double life and be a Bitcoin influencer. So I think that just sticking true to your values, like you said in that one speech, to stay focused on something, that's what I've been really trying to adopt more. Because I can have my hands and feet in all different places, but am I really focusing on what I want to? So thank you so much. That was awesome. I hope I can talk to you again soon. I'm starting a podcast, and I would love to have you on there.
Congratulations. It's great to be on the journey with you.
Thank you.
Okay. You want that on camera? Okay.
If you ever need anything, please reach out to me.
She's awesome.
Oh my goodness.
Congratulations.
So I know your time is short. It's so nice to meet you. I have one question for you. How do you stay connected to Bitcoin's human freedom? I know that's a little challenging, but the reason why I asked is because I'm starting a new podcast that really humanizes Bitcoin and the stories and how it impacts changes people's lives. So I think that's so important for the general public to even be able to relate so that everyone experiences Bitcoin freedom.
Well, I think there's a lot of really, really good work done by podcasters that I like this. So I do my best to watch as many, speed watch, listen, everything that's been covered and what Bitcoin did and Stefan Rivera and what Alex Gladstein has done and Natalie Brunel. And there's a lot of other good content online as well as on X. There's always more inspirational stories.
Well, thank you for letting me bug you with a question today. I hope you watch my new podcast. It's called I'm Just a New Jill.
I look forward to it.
Yes. See you later. Nice to meet you.
And my favorite quote is volatility is a gift.
Oh, I love that.
Okay, thank you.
May I get a selfie with you?
Thank you. Michael, particularly this thing, like yours.
All right, ladies, Jill, you ready or Matthew? Yeah. Okay. So, okay.
Hello. Hey.
My name's Jill Ford. It's really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm a very easy interview. Don't worry.
Okay,
I know
great.
they're probably like, you're like, I don't know who the F that is.
Well, I actually want to talk to you a lot about your personal journey and how it shaped your viewpoint.
Oh,
great. So that's okay.
That works.
So one of my questions is that you lost your family home in 2008.
2013.
2013.
I'm sorry, 2011.
2011. Yes. So how has that shaped your experience and how you lead your constituents today?
So I believe that less government is better government. That honestly,
that's a beautiful view.
Yeah, in my view, after we lost our family home, I've watched I'm a third generation commercial sandblaster. I watched our family business struggle, and eventually we lost that. All of that really was because of the overreach of government. And it's a contributing factor across all the different agencies and the federal and state levels. So how it has informed me as a policymaker, as a legislator, is that less is more. If I can reduce the amount of paperwork, the red tape, the bureaucracy that my constituents are facing, that is a better situation for my people that I represent.
Absolutely. I love your story of second chances. I'm all about that because I've lost my home and I've lost different things too. And so just being able to, talk to you and you actually would be able to relate that is huge. So another thing is you also lost your pregnancy, right?
I did.
And so how does that shape your pro-life views?
So, it was last year. Ended up, my husband and I had just started trying, and we found out on the very same day that we were pregnant that we were losing the baby. And that's a scary time, especially for someone who had never been through anything like that.
Yeah.
When you finally figure out what you're going through, and in my case, this was a deadly ectopic. I was, they thought maybe 5 weeks, they could never get a heartbeat. That was really emotional, but then you start to figure out where there's gaps in the system. And so a lot of the things that I've really worked to try to accomplish in healthcare is delivering results and real healthcare for women, because it seems so political these days when we talk about women's health care.
Exactly, and the politics really should be out of women's health care.
1000%.
Yes. Well, I struggle with infertility, so I can totally So I totally understand what it's like to go through that, and I'm so sorry, but also beautiful things have come out of.
They do.
Out of things that
they do. My rainbow baby, she's 6 weeks old.
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. That's
She's
amazing.
perfect.
What a blessing. That's one of the questions I had for you today, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really just love your story of second chances and building back up, because I think that's so powerful to just the American citizens to know that when things fall apart, they can come back together.
Absolutely.
And better. So,
absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you for your vulnerability.
Absolutely. Thank you. I love that blazer. Sorry, I'm kind of checking. Hey.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
My name is Madison.
Hey.
I'm a finance and economics student at Florida Gulf Coast University.
Oh, good Floridian.
Yes.
Love that.
And I love college. You know, I think that it's something that changed my life. I wouldn't be the same person without it.
Yeah.
You've mentioned that colleges are like indoctrination. What kind of message are you trying to send to that? And do you think it might alienate the people who are really making a difference in their college career?
No, so I think it depends on your experience, certainly. I mean, I'm the campus free speech caucus chair. I believe that that's where we should debate ideas, have these really, really robust conversations where difference of opinions come to light. But when you have to pull permits in order to speak your mind, to have a debate, when you have professors who are saying to certain students, hey, leave class early because I think you're going to get beat up for your viewpoints. When people are feeling intimidated, harassed, hazed because they have one political viewpoint, that's not okay. That's not the experience that someone wants to have in college. And, you know, I remember so vividly, my brother was serving overseas, and there was a traveling memorial to all of the men and women who lost their life in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I went and I signed the wall, because you were supposed to go and sign the wall and leave a message of support. And a person came up right behind me and wrote, you are all baby killers, and I hope you die. And it was really a tough moment for me to stand there and watch someone write that right next to my message. But I looked at her, she looked at me, and that was the recognition that is the America that we are fighting for, where we can have differences of opinion, we can stand there and we don't have to fight about it, but we can have completely different views about something, but that is what we need to preserve. And what I've seen in the last couple of years is a shutting down of one side, and that's what we're trying to defeat.
I love that answer. I totally agree with you. I think I'm very fortunate when I go to school at the Gulf Coast.
It's a great school.
It's held down very well. You know, we don't have any violence there. If there ever is a protest, it's very peaceful and minimal. And I think that we welcome both sides, but you know, there's always that one side that gets shut out. So I have a couple other questions.
Sure. Well, I got a question for you. What are you majoring in?
Finance.
Okay, finance, and then are you minoring in?
Minoring in economics.
I minored in economics.
So economics is more fun for me than the finance stuff because I get to critically think more. But then, you know, some of the classes I've taken, econometrics, whew, that one took me out. And then price theory, the theory of prices. I will never forget those two classes, but even though they were my hardest, they were my most fun because I actually had to put in more work rather than just for finance. You memorize the formulas and you go do, or like accounting is so boring. But economics, that is like more macro level.
We need our
stuff.
CPAs.
Yeah, I know, we do.
Yeah, but
They're
micro's
helpful.
hard.
Yeah.
Micro's hard. I love macro.
Me too.
Micro. Ugh.
And the cool thing now is at my school, with whatever textbooks we're using, they're starting to put Bitcoin into the macro.
Are they really?
And I just took a quiz on the way up here that was like, what is a CBDC? And what is, you know, how is Bitcoin a part of this? And I'm just so happy that my last year I could be a part of that, you know.
That is so cool.
It's like I'm taking a blockchain applications class as well. And so it's like the first class, and we don't know if it's going to be taken away or not, because if the teacher says one wrong thing, and you know, parents, if they're getting bad financial advice. So
oh, come on, not on blockchain.
I know.
Blockchain's just a digital ledger.
Exactly. So that class has been pretty fun. I did want to ask you about everything with the Charlie Kirk situation. You rightfully called for unity. For young people exhausted with constantly like fighting for all of their rights that we're supposed to just have, what's one concrete action that you're taking to help de-escalate the situation?
So, and I kind of go back to what I was telling you the story earlier about when I was on college campus back at Metro State, and I was signing the wall for my brother, and then I had a student come up next to me and wrote a completely different message.
Yeah.
So I often talk about how we as citizens should be worthy of the sacrifice that has been made for us on our behalf. People who have given their life. It's always incumbent upon elected leaders to speak in ways that are meaningful, that are sincere, that are meant to better the country as a whole. But we as citizens, so Congresswoman Kat has a responsibility to say one thing, and then as Citizen Kat, I have to live that. And I think as citizens, we all have a collective responsibility to be better, because the keyboard warriors, the people who are hiding behind screens, that they drive that division, it's not healthy. It's not good for anybody.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of adversaries overseas that would love to see more division within the United States and see us crumble from within. So I think we as citizens have a responsibility to come together and really stop the division and take some looks at what we're doing ourselves. Yeah. But as leaders, you can't say ridiculous things like calling people fascists and expect there not to be consequences.
Right.
So I think political violence has to be called out every single time.
Yeah.
And that is something that every leader should do, regardless if it's Republican or Democrat. That is a no-brainer. And I don't care if you are a local city commissioner or a member of the United States House of Representatives, you have a responsibility to call out violence and dangerous rhetoric when you see it. And that is something that we can collectively be doing. But then showing up. When we held a vigil for Charlie in the United States Capitol, only 6 of my Democrat colleagues showed up. But I went over to my colleagues, and I'll just point out Debbie Dingle, for example. I went up to Debbie and I hugged her and I said, "Thank you for being here." And she said, "No, this is important." And we stood there next to each other for the entire vigil. That is the type of stuff that we need to be doing and showing not just America, but the rest of the world that we are united, that we're one team, we're one mission, we're Americans first.
That's so awesome. I think that's a big message for college campuses as well. People have opposing ideas and they won't even talk to you if you have, an American flag, or on the other side, if you have a rainbow flag, just a symbol, they won't talk to you. And I think that we really need to get away from that, because if we're the United States, we're not living that title up to its full potential.
Exactly.
So I think that's a really good answer. The last thing I wanted to ask you is just, being a woman empowered, what's any advice you have to a young woman, 20 years old, trying to become a powerful woman?
Don't wait your turn. Don't wait your turn. For whatever reason, and I think this goes back to, this is generations, where women they'll wait to be asked to do something, especially if it's in a professional industry. My advice to young women is don't wait. Lines are for amusement parks and movie theaters. Don't wait in line. You need to take your shot when you got it. And don't wait for anyone to ask you. Don't ask for permission. Just do it. And if you fail, you learn a whole heck of a lot more through failure than you do success. And so there is absolutely an equalizer that we all have, and that's time. And so get out there, use your time wisely. Don't ask permission. Just get out there and do it. And make sure you are the hardest worker in the room. Absolutely.
I will. Thank you so much. You're so inspiring.
Thank you. All right. Congratulations on everything that you're doing. You're in a great school.
Yes, I love my This is my card.
Oh, you got cards too?
Yeah.
Love that. Hey, thanks, man. Absolutely. No, I'm at the behest of my team.
But awesome stuff. He's talking to his quarter about his 3% allocation because it offset the inflation of the state debt. So it's just interesting to break down the statistics. So I would love for you to always talk about it because it's something like action-based approach that makes sense on my course, right? So I want to come with facts and data, right? You're saving yourself tons of money. Also, not inflation, right? Just listeners about so, right, there's just a conversation that he's having here all the time. So, just want to throw it your way, right? Thank you for what you do. Much appreciated. Absolutely.
Hold this gentleman.
Oh, thank you. I almost let Michael Saylor walk away with the mic.
I know. I saw your.
Yeah. I was like, Mike, unless you want me to be listening to it, he was just like. Oh yeah, really? That's he was super fair and honest, but I will say this: I think we'll see post production, but I think that he was like thinking, "Oh no, like shit, you're like forcing me to talk about it," because like I thought, like I kind of felt like. If you stuck to the questions, it was framed perfectly, but like it's hard to like now I'm saying so you kind of just threw it out. I feel like he had the feeling like, oh fuck, she's trying to get me to like say it's okay, right? And so I felt like Right, he's honestly, like, yeah, but like that's the thing. You didn't. That wasn't right. Your goal wasn't to like, but your goal was just to say, look, Web3 is knowledge, right? And, but like I get it. Like if you make it accomplish it, but I think that the viewers might still be confused. I think they might still be confused. But like you know what you know who you are. Oh, to bring it inside, right? So now it's time. I'm gonna take one camera with me and my laptop. And I'm gonna see if I can do that. If not, I'll just bring this single set and this is supposed to be. Is it?
Like there one maybe on the wall, but I did.
You can't miss anything.
And the chair next to it, just behind the chair there.
I look at her and she's looking through.
Like that's how I like to see everything else.
Great.
I get technical.
Yes. Okay, here we go. So. It would be, yeah.
We're gonna go with the boxes there.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah, if you want to leave it in place here, that's fine. Otherwise, I can do that. That's perfect. Yeah. We'll keep an eye on it. If we get a good bid with Bitcoin, we'll get selling. I'll split it with you.
Hi. What are we doing? Listening and watching podcasts.
Oh, I love it. All right. So being on the ground.
I asked him to watch mine.
Like, yes, I heard that. It was great. And I'm sure he at some point will. Because we are to on the ground listening to.
I was far away from doing also financial services or financial engineering, other than obviously I raised for many years on the public market and so on. But if you put me and the CFO on the side, there's no one in the company who's ready to attack this trade. So by definition, you need to have a new team for this. Now, obviously, whether you partner, whether you hire, you do whatever you have to do. For example, in the case of Sequence, Swan as a partner was part of our deal from day one because we knew that we want expert and people they know what we are talking about to support us and help us.
Matt, on your balance sheet, how do you think about leverage? I'm not. I'll say I'm not familiar with your balance sheet, but I'm curious to hear kind of your thought process there.
Yeah, we very careful. So historically, I was at a company called US Bitcoin Corp, and then merged into Hut 8, which is now a major infrastructure company. Then I was the Cleveland CEO for Celsius, did restructuring. So I'm intimately aware with the yield issues that they face. What I would say is that, yeah, a little bit of leverage responsibility is great. The issue is you need to be content as an executive. Someone will outperform you with more leverage. That's just the math, right? If they took on more risk and took on more debt, their number will go up faster. And that's great for them, and they'll get a gold medal for that, right? But Bitcoin has always been volatile, and the timing, the duration is a tricky thing. And that tide can swing out quite rapidly. And the delevering can be very painful for folks that were maybe a little too exuberant at the high end. And so we've always been content not to let the ego get in the way of building up a firm business. And you've got an asset class that grows over 3% a year every year consistently, mostly consistently, right? And that's the key thing. And so when you try and put some juice on that, you can live to regret that very much. So we're pretty conservative.
Yeah. So, Kyle, it feels like we haven't heard from Elizabeth Warren in a little while about Bitcoin mining and carbon emissions. She used to send letters prolifically. Is it because AI HPC has kind of eclipsed that, or just the voters are not interested in it?
There could be a little bit of both. I mean, we certainly saw in terms of voters. This is something 2 years before the election, I had an op-ed in CoinDesk talking about how this is an important issue, and in elections where it's always tight in a divided country, you want to get any vote you can get. And I noted that candidate Trump at the time, former President Trump, candidate Trump, was unusually quiet about it, and that may mean that he's considering, because in the past he had been sort of anti-crypto. But I think that it was seen as maybe a losing issue because there was a lot of young voters who see Bitcoin as their access to financial inclusion, to a financial system that, maybe they feel a little excluded from Wall Street insiders. And this is something anybody can access. So there was that element. I think that you also hit the nail on the head with the AI aspect. AI data centers have become so massive and so needed and have such political tailwind, bipartisan political tailwind, that Bitcoin data centers, by comparison, are kind of a blip. And so it's hard to, in one hand, support a massive AI data centers that use much more energy than Bitcoin mining, and then condemn Bitcoin. So there's a little bit of a contrast there that I'm sure Bitcoin skeptic politicians don't want to get involved in. Now, that said, there's also great arguments that we've been making to policymakers for the past year, specifically that if you want to be competitive in the global AI race and the race for energy, you might as well take advantage of this incredible technology that is Bitcoin mining, that can not only bootstrap up, new energy, or bootstrap up a data center and make it more profitable as it's growing, but can then potentially also be converted, as we've seen many times, converted into larger, larger data centers with a lot more specifications. And so I think that they've come to, a lot of folks, after hearing this message many times, have started to realize that Bitcoin mining can be an incredible gateway into data centers, energy, and global competitiveness.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my theses for this nascent Bitcoin treasury industry is that it's going to be so successful, it's going to attract so much capital to it, that the complaint will shift from Bitcoin mining consumes too much energy to Bitcoin treasury companies consume too much capital. And that they're taking away capital from productive uses, like college degrees that are useless, or McMansions and all this. So and this kind of bloated private equity industry at this point. But where do you think that the industry should be proactive and start educating lawmakers about what the treasury companies are doing, what kind of policies would actually be constructive, or should they be reactive and kind of just wait for the letters to come in from Elizabeth Warren?
We have certainly learned over the past 4 or 5 years that we cannot be reactive. We have been caught at the state level, we have been caught at the federal level of not having, professional policy people, where companies, maybe there's a problem in a state, there's a problem, and then we end up like these companies dump a ton of money on private lobbyists who have no understanding of what the technology is and have to learn it all. And so we have seen the public policy arms of all sorts of companies across the industry become much more sophisticated over the past 4 years. There's no doubt about that. And also being the targets of certain policy discrimination over the past 4 years, there was a sort of industry cohesion that resulted in sort of the great results that we're seeing now. So with that said, I'd say it definitely pays to be proactive in trying to educate policymakers of why a company would be a treasury company. I think that every company that does it, getting back to conviction, needs to know why they're doing it exactly. And that would go a long way, and being able to have folks like, leaders of companies come to DC, explain why they're doing it, will go a long way, and explain how they're maybe bringing access to the constituents of those policymakers, which to me, at the end of the day, is what Bitcoin's about. It's about bringing access to people who would not otherwise have access to long-term sustainable wealth.
And what do you say to the, and I'll count myself among them sometimes, the paranoid libertarians who say the government's going to seize these honeypots of Bitcoin? Do you think that that's a reasonable concern, or is it a little overblown?
So I get the fear. I think it's overblown in terms of a sort of violent or quasi-violent seizing of a company's assets. I think that is totally messy. I think it would not be something the government would do. However, if we were to enter some sort of national security imperative where the government decided that Bitcoin was integral to the U.S. national security, I think we'd see more of a move where a company like Strategy or a large Bitcoin treasury company could be, through various offerings of carrots and sticks eventually too, to become more like a Lockheed Martin, where you are offering so many services to the government. The government is such a large client that it's almost enmeshed. And there could be some benefits to that. There certainly could be some disadvantages, but I would much more, if I had to think of a pragmatic result of that scenario, it would be more of that, where the government is partnering with that large private treasury company for a wide variety of reasons, so they don't have to own the company, but they can have access. I could picture folks at Strategy all having security clearances. It's very possible. I think that is the way the government would operate, as opposed to a hostile takeover of assets.
Really interesting insights. Thank you, each one of you, for joining us on this panel, and thank you to the audience for joining us today.
More applause. This is an incredible panel. Thank you so much, gentlemen. We appreciate it. All right, I'm back. You've seen me before. You'll see me again. The next panel we have focuses on the intersection of the revolutionary ideas behind Bitcoin and the potentials for control. How do we reconcile the ongoing adoption of Bitcoin by these larger financial entities and potentially government entities as well? We have an incredible panel. We have Matty Ice of Consensus Protocol as the moderator. Woo. We have Lawrence Lepard, author of The Big Print.
Absolute key. We have Joe Gruters, chairman of the RNC. Round of applause. Yes, yes, more applause. We have Charlie Shrem of the Charlie Shrem Show. And finally, we have CJ Constantinos of People's Reserve. Please put your hands together for our next panel. Thank you.
It's nice. Nice and cushy. I'm excited to be here today with you guys. I started mining 8 years ago by going to Best Buy to buy GPUs. And now I'm sitting here with the chairman of RNC in Washington, D.C. So it's very clear the industry has evolved. Things have changed over time. Our panel today is going to discuss the system of freedom that Bitcoin was formed to represent, and it does represent, in the intersection of the continuing financialization of the asset. I'm joined by 4 great speakers here, and you guys want to introduce yourselves real quick for the audience?
Sure. I'm Lawrence Lepard. I'm the author of The Big Print, which is a sound money book, and I've been a sound money advocate for 30 years. First in the gold space, and then I migrated into Bitcoin.
Thank you. I'm Joe Gruters. I'm the Republican National Committee Chairman. I'm friends with Charlie Shrem, first and foremost, a fellow Sarasotan, but I'm also been served over the last 10 years in the state legislature, the last 7 as state senator, where I sponsored the blockchain task force, where we brought that to Florida about 5 or 6 years ago, and the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve last year. So glad to be here, and thanks for having me.
Hey everyone, I'm Charlie Shrem. I've been in the Bitcoin community for a super long time. Had one of the earliest Bitcoin exchanges, BitInstant, back in 2011 for a couple of years, and helped start the Bitcoin Foundation. Traveled all over the world helping unite a lot of different early Bitcoin communities. And since then, I've been hosting my own podcast, The Charlie Shrem Show. I have a really cool research startup working on the future of proof of work, and I'm just really excited to be here.
Hello, everybody. I'm CJ Constantinos, founder at People's Reserve. If you guys heard Saylor speak about digital credit, that is our focus. We believe Bitcoin is pristine collateral and that the future of finance is going to be Bitcoin powered.
Gentlemen, a quick opener for each of you. CJ, why don't I start with you? Is the continuing financialization of Bitcoin turning it into a system for control, or is it still the ultimate system for freedom?
It could go both ways. So we have to be really careful on who we vote for and the type of actions that Joe and his committee are taking to make sure that our leaders are creating an environment that Saylor talked about earlier. The stark difference between what we saw in the previous 4 years to the new administration opens up the door to a whole new realm of opportunity, including innovations like our Bitcoin-powered mortgage, which we would not have been able to even dare to attempt under the previous administration. And for that reason, I think that when you see the type of freedom that you're going to get from embracing Bitcoin, not only as a savings technology, but as a pristine collateral that backs credit that isn't backed by debt or promise, but is backed by equity, that creates a situation where you have security and reduced risk. And that security and reduced risk allows everybody to breathe a little bit easier. It allows the Fed not have to convene every once in a while for an emergency because there's actually something that backs the credit. And when you can take that break and you can take that breather and everybody's a little bit more calm, I think you cross those party lines a little bit more. You shake a few more hands and you get some legislation across the line that can make everybody's life better. And it's funny that that all starts with money.
Good luck following that, Charlie. I'm just kidding. You're going to knock it out of the park.
Question?
I'll ask it again. Is the continuing financialization of Bitcoin turning it into a system for control, or is it still the ultimate system for freedom?
You know, it's been like a spectrum, and it's changed over time. no one has ever been able to say what you can and cannot do with your Bitcoin. And I think that's been like one of its best principles. You know, it's irreversible. It's in your control, not just with money, but there's also data. There's a whole section of things that can be done here. And so over time, as we've looked at it as our sovereign tool, and we've looked at it as something that we want to make the world a better place, over time, that's actually happened. And we've seen it not just on a small scale, on local levels, but it's actually happened on a global scale. And so I personally never saw it, and I never really wanted to go into that like anarchy type of down that bad road of anarchy and saying that Bitcoin was going to be a tool for not controlling the world. But at the end of the day, we knew that as long as we give people financial literacy, and if we give people the ability to control not just their savings, but their ability to send money to their family and friends overseas, once we knew that they would understand that, then they would explain to their congressmen and congresswomen and senators. We knew that they would explain to their local politicians. And it wasn't just going to happen on a large scale first, it was going to happen in smaller countries. And we saw that. Cyprus, Argentina, we saw in these smaller places first that had hyperinflation where the Bitcoin growth grew first. And over time, we see now in America and in these larger superpowers of the world, they're getting a lot more excited about it because, as you say, it's actually a tool for peace.
Great answer.
Chairman Joe. Listen, well, this is President Trump's party, and I'm the chairman of it. And obviously, he's fully embraced crypto and Bitcoin, and it's and ultimately it's all about freedom, and it's about safeguarding the innovation and the freedoms that we all love. But what you've seen is how important it is to be involved in the process. From what you've said over the last 4 years, it's been completely different. We have to safeguard the entire process, and we have to understand that freedom is not free. You have to participate. Showing up today by having this panel, that's part of the process too. And we have to continue to educate that this is, yes, certain safeguards and regulations may not be a bad thing, but ultimately anything that would undermine it in any type of permission in terms of having to send it or receive it is unacceptable. And I think that I'm just thankful that you guys are having this program and having this specific panel to talk about the freedom that exists and in what we're doing within this administration to push it forward.
Thanks for that answer.
There are obviously a lot of evil things the government can try and do. I mean, the one that scares me the most is this whole notion of trying to ban self-custody. I mean, WTF, right? That, the beautiful thing. What's that?
Mic check.
Mic check? Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I go talk this Senate thing. So, yeah, the government obviously trying to ban self-custody would be a horrible thing. On the other hand, this is a really sharp weapon. And there are a lot of us who would just look at them and say, oh, yeah? Right. Good luck with that. Because, who says you have to live in the United States? Who says you have to obey the government you're under? Who says you have to give up the 12 words that you've got? I mean, this is a technology which allows an individual to be stronger than an army. Unless they can torture the words out of you or kill you, they can't take your wealth. And until Bitcoin was invented, there was never such a thing. You could always, when we overran Iraq, we took all the gold. We overran Libya, we took all their gold. Wars have been fought for thousands of years over land, gold, power, etc. Here you've got digital power controlled by keywords, and individuals are stronger than sovereign armies. That's a big deal. That's a
good luck taking somebody's Bitcoin.
When I think about what Team Blue wants to do, and the Team Blue, with respect to crypto, Team Blue is evil as it can be. I get very comforted, or I'm comforted by, the thing. Whenever people talk about this on Twitter, I always say "Mola Mobe," which is the ancient thermoplane war cry of come and fucking take it. You want my weapons? And I think the basic ethos of the true Bitcoiner is good luck. We got you in checkmate, guys, and you're fucked. We're not fucked. You're fucked.
You said it. There's something truly powerful about, having an asset that nobody knows you can have, how much you have, nobody knows who owns it, and good luck trying to take that from somebody, right? It really empowers. It's a tool for human freedom and empowerment all throughout the world. We here in America, everybody has access. Most people have access to a bank account, although 1 in 10 people get debanked apparently. 3.5 billion people on this planet don't have access to that, or live under corrupt authoritarian regimes. So they don't have property rights at all. So now Bitcoin really is, as Michael Saylor said, this digital capital that underlies everything. And it's property rights for all of humanity that nobody can take from you. That's definitely powerful.
It's the ultimate peasant's revolt.
I love it. So Larry, let me ask you this question. I'm just going to tee you up with a banger because I don't know how much time we have here. Not enough. What are your thoughts on the KYC AML regime? Is turning the banking system into police officers at the behest of the government something that helps society, or a friction that makes the financial system worse for the 99.99% of honest and hardworking Americans?
It absolutely makes it worse. I mean, it's sick that these people, the government can't just leave us all the fuck alone. I mean, they're sick fucks. And
Larry's a Cypherpunk'd at heart.
They start wars that they shouldn't be starting, and they fund them with money that they print to fund them. I mean, they're all just a bunch of evil motherfuckers. Present company excluded. And so, KYC, AML, come on, give me a break. And it reminds me very much of the notion way back when they're saying, we're going to start, so they're going to have to pass the $600 exemption on small transactions. They're just going to have to pass it. Because, I'm spending Bitcoin that I bought for $300 to buy coffee. Do you think I'm reporting the capital gain on a $5 cup of coffee? No. Give me a break. And so the beautiful thing about this is that the technology, it checkmates them. They can't arrest us all, right? And there are a lot more of us than there are of them. So, it's such a beautiful thing. They're completely and utterly fucked. I love it.
So Charlie, let me ask you.
I'm trying hard to follow you, Charlie.
So hold on, I got a question for you, Charlie. There's an expression: the first person through the door gets shot. Yet you're still here and have laid the foundation and inspired many entrepreneurs such as myself. What did you learn from your experience being on the bleeding edge of innovation?
Look, that day I got arrested, it was actually a watershed day because Coinbase, Kraken, none of them require ID. And that day, KYC became a very important thing for the industry. I got arrested at the first days of 2014. I had my early Bitcoin exchange. And then at the end of 2013, there was a FinCEN guidance that came out that said all Bitcoin companies had to be have certain money transmitter licenses. And then we shut down. And then so I was coming back to the US, actually was speaking at a conference in Amsterdam, and I was supposed to give a Senate talk the next day. And then I was arrested at the JFK airport, just like the day before that was supposed to happen. And it was a very big, important thing that happened, and it was a gift. At the same time, it was a gift for the Bitcoin industry, and it was a gift for myself. For myself, I can talk to you guys about that another day. But for the Bitcoin industry, my sacrifice ended up being able to prevent a lot of other people from having to go to jail, preventing longer bear markets. It prevented a lot of other bad things from happening. So look, when my arrest happened, you talk about Team Blue, it was very much that. And the idea was let's push Bitcoin as underground as we can. Let's give them the craziest regulations. Let's put them underground. Let's arrest their leaders. That's because that's the best solution. We know from history that works, right? Well, we see with the president, he actually took on a smart approach and said, let's build good guardrails and let's take this great industry and have positive innovation. I hope this continues for the next 100 years, because that's what we need to do. We need to, at the end of the day, if we can't beat them, we join them. And Bitcoiners have become in the government themselves, and that's what happened. And it's beautiful.
Whatever happened to that bit license guy who like made all these rules, and then he's like started his own firm afterwards to like make money off of his rules. Whatever happened to that guy?
Consulting.
I don't know. Chairman Joe, let me ask you a question here. There's a famous quote by Andreas Antonopoulos. Governments and corporations have fostered a fourth function of money that has subordinated all other functions, system of control. It ensures that political dissent can be effectively snuffed at the bank without appeal or recourse. What's your reaction to this? And how can we ensure that Bitcoin remains outside of this function?
Well, I think Andreas is right. Certainly governments and corporations can restrict control, and as a result, it creates a choke point. But first and foremost, let me tell you, Charlie Shrem is a leader in Florida. We're so lucky to have him in the Bitcoin space overall, and everything that he's done, his podcast as a leader. But yes, everything, the government overall has the ability, they can, listen, we've seen what overregulation can do to the market. We could see what a president like President Trump, who's embraced it, we put this in our platform, right? Not as a financial tool, but as a freedom tool. We have people that are willing to stand up and listen. It wasn't a free sailing to put this in the Republican National Committee's platform. This is the president's party. This was his vision. He looks at this, like I said, this is a tool of freedom, and he is embracing it. And I think as a result, a lot of I think miners and Bitcoiners were sitting on the sideline, but I think a lot of them now have come over to realize that our party is the party of freedom, and we want to continue to operate in that way. And this is just one of the many tools we have.
So one quick follow-up on that. Bitcoin was developed as this tool for privacy and freedom. I know you understand the importance of this because you were instrumental in helping Trump collect donations from people anonymously who were scared of political retaliation, getting debanked, or targeted in other ways for supporting his candidacy. How can we protect those characteristics in Bitcoin legislation and remove the worst abuses of the current financial system while building a future that empowers individuals and doesn't treat everyone as potential criminals without due process?
Well, listen, you got to make sure you elect the right people, put the right rules in place, because that's ultimately what's going to happen. But even at the Republican National Committee, we've started to receive Bitcoin contributions. But I will say that no contributions to the party itself can be anonymous. Everything has to, we received them. I think we're the first party, one of the first political organizations to receive Bitcoin as a contribution, and we'll continue to be open to receive that. But even that requires us to do certain things in terms of regulatory restrictions that are in place that hopefully, as we move forward under this administration with a forward-thinking president like President Trump, will be lifted up and make it a lot easier for people to do that.
Great answer, thank you.
Satoshi's wallet sent it.
I got a question for you, CJ. I don't have too much time, so I want to ask this one first because it kind of goes to the crux of a lot of what our generation is dealing with as millennials, and you're uniquely qualified to answer this question about housing costs and prices. So on a recent Cypherpunk'd podcast that I did with Tom Luongo, he said when he was born in the 60s, his dad was a cop who purchased a brand new home for $28,000. His mom stayed home to care for the kids. With a blue-collar job, he made somewhere between $24,000 to $35,000 a year. Today, the median annual salary is around $62,000, and the median house price is $433,000. Our generation is the first generation that is worse off than our parents' generation. How has the debasement of the dollar and detachment from a sound money standard played into these and other second and third order effects? Why does housing have a monetary premium attached to it that didn't exist for hundreds of years prior to 1971? And Larry, you can chime in on this too.
Yeah, this is a really interesting study, actually, because when you look at what happened when they took the gold away from the dollar, real estate became monetized. And after it became monetized, it became financialized. And what does that mean? It means that it became a store of value. And once value was being stored in it, they built financial products around the asset class. So you saw all types of different loans, like a mortgage, home equity line of credit, any type of financial product that you could build around this asset class, they did. And that further drove premium into the asset class because it was being used as a money because the money had died. And when you look at what's happening with wages versus the median home price, prices in the real estate have risen much, much faster than they have in wages, and affordability has crashed. And I think what Bitcoin does to fix this problem is directly related to what we do at People's Reserve. I mean, it's the reason we exist, which is you can secure your Bitcoin as collateral and unlock that purchasing power without giving up ownership. And what does that mean? It means it's a better savings vehicle. And we need to make real estate not be the savings vehicle. And Bitcoin is the savings vehicle. It's a monetary technology. It's a savings technology. And it's our opinion that in the long run, the dollar is a currency. It's not a money. And a currency is a spending technology, right? A lot of people make the mistake that Bitcoin is fighting the dollar, when in fact, you store value, you save value in Bitcoin. And who in the right mind would try to compete with the dollar? It's accepted around the world and it's easily spent and understood, but you don't want to save in it, right? So it's like having two different garden tools. It's like a shovel and a rake. You have to use them together. And I think that's what we've been forced to do. We've been forced to innovate because of the decisions that were made in the past. And when you put Bitcoin up as collateral, something really magic happens. And I think this is the real power that we saw in real estate that has been optimized in the Bitcoin asset class. When you buy your home, it gains value over time. And what happens is, for the vast majority of people, the majority of their wealth is in their home equity. That's a solid truth for 99% of Americans. Only the top 1% have cash flows from businesses and everything else like that. The vast majority of wealth has been put into home equity. But that's not a savings technology. But what did they learn through that? Well, I can borrow against my home and I can get an upgrade, or I can get a rental property and I can rent that out and try to increase my cash flows. What's the goal here? The goal is to increase your quality of life and your standard of living. Well, the best way to do that is to not leverage an asset class that is not a money like real estate, but instead adopt the money, adopt the savings technology, and then leverage that technology by borrowing the dollars against it. So no offense, but I would never donate Bitcoin ever. I would borrow against it and donate the dollars and then use the cash flow.
They're going to spend it anyway.
You don't want to spend your Bitcoin, but when we look at what's happening, and the premium in housing, it has fallen, but it's fallen because of higher interest rates. And I think with the administration really pushing more so than I've ever seen before for lower rates and better affordability, I hope we get it. But I also hope that there's an awakening that you cannot buy the home like your parents did and use it as a savings vehicle. Use the Bitcoin. And then what happens is you get auto delevered. And I'll end on this point. Bitcoin as a pristine collateral is an auto deleveraging mechanism. That's just a fancy way of saying it automatically reduces risk over a long period of time. So even if you don't have a lot of Bitcoin, instead of paying for a private mortgage insurance, instead create a product that allows the buyers to pay into a small Bitcoin savings. And what you'll see is over time, instead of paying into an insurance product that doesn't need to pay out on default, you're paying into the hardest money in the world that very well may outgrow your liability and pay off your home. So now that insurance payment, which delivered nothing except safety for the lender, is now empowering you as the buyer as it transforms into equity and relieves you of that debt burden. So these are the exciting things I think that we've learned from real estate being monetized, being financialized, and how we can transfer that premium into a better, more pristine asset like Bitcoin.
Great answer. I got a question for Charlie. As a pioneer, can you talk about the underlying philosophy that inspired you to get involved in Bitcoin a decade ago? And what are you most excited about for the future?
What inspired me about Bitcoin a decade ago and what I'm excited about for the future. I got involved in Bitcoin really to make friends. The early Bitcoin community existed on the internet. We were on IRC chat rooms, on the Bitcoin talk forums that Satoshi had created. And the idea was simple, like there wasn't, other than PayPal, there wasn't a way of like moving money on the internet in an easy and cheap and nice way, other than Western Union and MoneyGram. And so you had all these people, we were trying to build internet businesses. I had an e-commerce business called dailycheckout.com. People were trying to do charitable work that, I was getting involved in, that has how my PayPal account got frozen. And I didn't like this idea, you talk about money. I didn't like this idea that all of a sudden I'm helping a charity raise money, that PayPal can come and freeze that. And now I love how 10 years later, PayPal is accepting Bitcoin. So, that ethos of building that sovereign tool of being able to build my, I was also falling out of a rough relationship in the very religious community that I grew up in, and I was looking for that independence. And what I saw in Bitcoin was not just the independence that building my own business gave me, but it also gave me that independence to build and save for the future. Now, mind you, Bitcoin wasn't really worth anything, but it created this huge customer base all over the world. So I have dailycheckout.com, and we were selling electronics, and we were selling anything from tables and sneakers and couches and TVs on the internet. And the problem was that when you accept credit cards, you have chargebacks and crazy 3% and even 5% when you're a new business, and you have all these negative things that just are obstacles and hinders to growing your business, to being independent, to putting food on your family's table. And so I started taking the same goods and selling it on the Bitcoin forums that Satoshi created, the same products. All of a sudden I had customers all over the world, and there were no transaction fees, and there were no chargebacks. I started selling more things on the Bitcoin forums and in the Bitcoin chat rooms than I was actually selling on my own website.
Wow.
And I was holding Bitcoin. I was like saving it as my own thing because it wasn't worth much. There was no reason to sell it. I decided to buy some more during the first bubble up to $32. I lost my 36, and I lost my shirt in that one. But kind of those are the types of people that were attracted to it. Argentina, Wences Cesares from Zappo, all these different people. Brian Armstrong, he worked for Coinbase. He worked for Airbnb before, and he saw firsthand how the whole market of people renting and traveling all over the world, how money is different, and you can't accept payments from people in the Philippines who want to travel to Israel, or this whole different crazy world that was happening. So we were attracting all these, over time it's changed. Of course, we've had institutional liquidity, we've had different types of waves through bull and bear markets, and that's brought in, all sorts of different people who love Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, Bitcoin is what we want it to be. It's ours. When you own it, when you're part of the community, no one can really tell you what to do. So it's not just with the money aspect, but it's the community aspect of it too. So you see all these debates that happen on, on crypto Twitter and all the things that are happening all the time it just hardens Bitcoin. These are stress tests. These are the ability for us to go forward. We're working things out. And so I love it. And so you asked me what I'm excited about for the future. Every single day, what I'm excited about is that Bitcoin has given revenue streams to all sorts of new people, new businesses all over the world coming up with crazy new ideas. And I just, it's just so exciting.
It's almost like the free market works or something.
It's the Bitcoin world is a fully free market world that has no obstacles once you're inside of it. And as long as the guardrails are there and everything grows nicely and there are no negatives and everything, it's really positive.
Let me follow up on this. Did you have your PayPal account was frozen for your amputee charity? Is that an accurate assessment?
Yeah, so I was in high school, and I was just helping this charity that was raising money for kids who were in terror attacks and in the army who needed different limbs, legs and arms and things like that. And so they were flying in from Europe and from Israel and from all these places into the US because it's a lot, we have the best science community in the world. And we have the most cost-efficient artificial limbs. And so PayPal had just, arbitrarily decided that it wasn't a real charity and they weren't doing real things. And it was a really tough week because we had someone who was literally living in my house and his leg was charging in my living room, and we couldn't pay for it because PayPal had frozen the funds. So thankfully, everything worked itself out. But that first week is when I found out about Bitcoin. And I don't know if God did it on purpose or everything kind of, it was serendipitous.
My friend Jorge from the Economic Inclusion Org says that 1 in 10 Americans will be debanked with no recourse or explanation. Is the idea of not being able to face your accuser or be treated as innocent until proven guilty anti-American? And that's for you, Charlie, but also for Joe.
That's what it was. There was no one that I can talk to.
Yeah. What's the official RNC stance on that, Joe?
Well, listen, we're for freedom. We're for opportunity. And so, listen, what you have to do is you have to create an awareness of any situation that's going on. Just like having this forum, just like I know it's live streamed, and getting out there and communicating exactly what you need, what the issues are, and then championing legislation, both at the state level and the federal level, and then embracing elected officials that are going to support those causes. I mean, that's the key to everything. You gotta find, when you find people that are supportive and willing to move the ball, you got to embrace them and help them be the champions you want them to be.
I'm going to do a plug for Larry's book here, The Big Print. Fantastic book. If you have people in your lives that you want to teach about Bitcoin and understand why it's important, anybody can read this book. And then if you want a deeper dive, you can watch our 13-episode podcast series on it. Let me ask you a question, Larry. From a geopolitical view, you've said that the game theory makes sense for the U.S. to adopt the Bitcoin standard to advantage Americans and disadvantage our adversaries. Is the U.S. government waking up to this reality, or are they still viewing Bitcoin as a threat to be contained?
Oh, I think they're waking up to it. So we've seen some really, really good things happen. I mean, first, the Trump administration is net positive a good thing. We know that Scott Bessent was a gold bug, and gold bugs are early stage Bitcoiners. He also supports Bitcoin. We know that. Stephen Moran, who's now on the Federal Reserve Board, he was the chairman of the chief economic advisor for Trump. And he's a Bitcoiner. He's tweeted that he's positive on Bitcoin. And so, yeah, I mean, and we know, I know because I've spoken to Jason Lowry, who wrote Soft War, and I've met people from the intelligence agencies. We know that at the DOD, CIA, Pentagon, the strategic part of the country understands how important the Bitcoin is as a monetary standard. I was approached at the Las Vegas conference by a gentleman who's actually here at this conference as well, who basically said my book was burning at the halls of some of the intelligence agencies. And the reason that is that the intelligence agencies look at all threats to the United States, and hyperinflation is obviously one of the threats. And my book talks a lot about hyperinflation, the risk of hyperinflation. And the other thing I would say, because I come from this world, is that the two possible things that we're going to go to on a go-forward basis for a neutral reserve currency are gold and Bitcoin. And obviously, if you look at tradition, we would go towards gold, and central banks have been buying gold like crazy, and that's why the price of gold is just, as Luke Roman says, it goes up every day that ends in Y. And so, we've got this rocketing gold price. Bitcoin's kind of static right now. It'll follow and follow harder, in my opinion. But the point is that, from a geopolitical strategic point of view, we know China has a lot more gold than they say they have. We know India has a lot of gold. And, as countries go, having wealth is an important attribute. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of wealth. We have a lot of debt. But we could defease that with Bitcoin. And if we have to go back to sound money, which I think my book argues that things are good, we're going to ultimately have to return to sound money because the system's so broken, the pain is going to get so large that we're going to demand it. And the two choices are gold and Bitcoin. So the historic reason would be to go back to gold because it's been around for 5,000 years. But the smart strategic move for the United States would be to leapfrog gold and just go straight to Bitcoin. And I am absolutely sure that Moran, Trump, Bessent, and others, Lutnick, et cetera, are aware of that and have thought about that. Now, whether or not they're going to do it in a 4-year window, I think they might. The reason it'd be a very smart play. And the reason I think they might is, my guess is what's going to happen. They're going to come to the end of the Trump administration and they're going to look at it and they say, is JD going to win or not? And if they think JD is going to win, then they got time because they'll have another 4 years within which to do it. If they think JD is going to lose and AOC is going to win,
I'm sure they talked to the chairman of the RNC about this.
Yeah, maybe we should talk to the chairman of the RNC, but that looks like it's a possibility. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see him try and do a Bretton Woods reset and to actually make it based on some combination of Bitcoin and gold, or maybe just Bitcoin.
Can you provide a little bit more insight about what China's kind of doing on this front with gold, how they're kind of hiding that gold? They're bringing in a lot of gold. It's illegal to take gold out of the country.
Yeah, so first of all the gold that gets mined in China has to stay in the country. It's law. Second of all, China's been encouraging, since the early 2000s, encouraging their citizens to buy and hold gold. They know it's strategic money. China and Russia are very much aware of how screwed we are economically. I mean, we fucked ourselves over so bad. It's $8 trillion in the Middle East of war. I mean, we spent all our money on the wrong shit. They were building nuclear reactors. We were getting guys' arms and legs blown off. It was ridiculous and sad. But so China claims to have about 1,300 tons of gold. We only have 8,300. We don't have 8,300. They don't have 1,300. They probably have 20,000 tons of gold. How do we know that? Because we know what they mine internally. Let's track it. We know what they mine internally, and we know what they've imported from Switzerland. And so they probably have at least 10 times what they say they have, maybe 20 times what they say they have. So, to the degree that we're doing monetary warfare, China has bet big on gold. We know they haven't bet on Bitcoin. They actually don't believe it. I think that may be changing, but Russia gets it. Russia's probably mining it at a state level. But so my sense is that, we know this. We also know, so interesting fact. So they come in and they say, we're going to audit Fort Knox, right?
I'm still waiting on that audit.
Yeah, me too, right? And so, the Senate says it all this. So, yeah, right? Yeah. So, and,
I know an auditor.
Yeah, and so what happens is the Senate comes in, he gets read in. And what he gets read in on is the fact that those of us who are in the gold community know, because some of my friends knew the people who were alive at the time, that the Johnson administration sold a lot of the gold in the 1960s to defend the London gold pool between 1961 and 1967. So Fort Knox does not have all the gold that they say they have, okay? And so once percent got read in on that, the whole, it was like the Epstein shit. They just kind of, oh, we're not going to go there. Maybe there's some people we don't want to, we're just not going to go there. So
there's a famous joke about it, right? It's like the president goes to Fort Knox, he goes in and says, where the hell's all the gold?
Yeah.
And he says, it's not here, sir. He says, double the guard.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, there is gold in Fort Knox. I mean, Mnuchin went down there with his gold digger wife, literally. About a year or two ago, remember they had all those pictures of him with the dollar and them standing in front of the gold.
I think that was the last time Trump.
And of course, she's married to him because he's like really smart and good looking, right? There's some gold there, is what they say. So
what's the end game with gold then? If they're like hoarding it.
Can you explain the difference a little bit? Like why we have politicians here, why we're in Washington D.C. Why Bitcoin instead of gold, or should we have both? I mean, what do you guys fall along that line?
Yeah. So we've only got 4 minutes left, but that's a really long discussion. You and I had it 13 sessions, but the fact of the matter is Bitcoin's better because it's non-sovereign. Bitcoin's better because it's audible. It's triple entry accounting. Bitcoin's better because it doesn't grow in supply as quickly as gold does. I mean, there's in so many ways, Bitcoin is just the money of the future, and it will ultimately be the numeraire, in my view. Our kids will price things in Satoshis, but between here and there, we got to get out of this old trap and into that new world, and it's going to take some time, and they'll probably try gold first because it's more traditional. There could be a parallel of the two. The price of Bitcoin compared to gold is going to go up and to the right forever. It's just going to crush it. But, it's still got a ways to go. I mean, Bitcoin's got to go up 10x to have the total size of the Bitcoin pool equal the total size of the gold pool.
I think it's even more now, right? Or no?
Yeah, well, the gold's higher now. You're probably right. I haven't done the math recently. Last time I looked, it was 10. So that implies $1 million Bitcoin, which is why I'm absolutely convinced we'll see $1 million Bitcoin within 5 or 6 years. But there's an interesting point here, and that is, do you really want your government to be rich? I mean, do you really want to have a powerful government that has a lot of money? I'm not 100% sure. If you're a real libertarian, you kind of don't. But at the end of the day, as bad as our government is, present party excluded. As bad as our government is, I do like it better than the
Chinese. They're still leaving you on all this.
I do. I know. I'll never get off the list. I do like it better than the Chinese government, the Russian government. So I prefer to see us do the right thing.
I will chime in real quick. I just want to say that the president's focused on freedom. He's focused on the long term. He didn't come back just for 4 years for him to be president again. I think he's looking at this as a long road ahead in terms of everything they're building, in terms of the foundation, in terms of the freedoms they're putting into place. And that's why in 32 of the states that track voter registration, we're absolutely crushing our opposition. It's issues like this that they're leading from the front. And I think at the end of the day, again, since we're closing up, I think Bitcoin is a tool for freedom. I think the president recognizes that. I think the administration is all in favor of that and in doing everything they possibly can to streamline some of these regulations. And so the president should be supported and applauded for all the work that he's done.
Joe, let me follow up on that with a little question. Bitcoin policy is now part of the RNC platform. This is a historic achievement. As the chairman of the RNC, you have obviously played a large part of that. Can you share some of the behind-the-scenes strategy that elevated Bitcoin to that level? Who was the driving force behind it, and what resistance did you face?
Well, it's easy. It's even though I'm a Bitcoin guy and I've led in legislation at the local and the state level, which is where a lot of this innovation comes up, is through the states. This is the president's party. I'm the president's chairman. He's leading out in the front. The platform that we passed at last convention was his platform. That's what we're pushing forward. I think that's why you're seeing so many people come over to the Republican Party. That's why we've seen 4.6 million voter registration shift over to the Republican side, and it's not over yet. This president is working every single day to try to make America better by working on behalf of the average American worker, the average American business. What other president has led innovative growth and the investment that we've seen from around the world back into American factories and American businesses than this president? This president's focused on winning, and we're going to continue to win. And JD is our finance chairman, and the Republican nominee will win at least for the next 12 years as a result of the policies that the president.
We're running out of time here, so I'm going to ask a final question to all of you before we close out here. As we sit here in the Kennedy Center, I'm reminded of JFK's famous quote: "Ask not what your country can do for you, but instead what you can do for your country." So a positive variation of that back to you guys. We all know what Bitcoin has done for us and for humanity. What can you do for Bitcoin? Let's start with you, CJ.
I think the most important thing we can do is actually get back to what this conference is all about, which is an education curriculum. And here we're seeing it at the university level, but we really need to get it back to our children. I mean, when I was brought up in school, all I learned about money was how to count it. That's it. Our kids need to learn the difference between money and currency. They need to learn financial planning and hands-on skills like gardening and mechanicing and cars. All of this stuff is more important. And when you look at the performance of the US education system, we went from being a top educator with some of the smartest, best workers in the world to being at the bottom of the list, like third world.
We're not even top 30 anymore.
Some of the people that are on my team and work with me grew up in other countries and are so much better workers than the local Americans. And I don't blame the local Americans, but they got brought up in a horrible curriculum. And that's the problem. Like, yes, we need it at the university level, but you need to teach our children. We need to teach the children. Teach it to our kids so that they can make everybody's life better. And that's our mission too. Do what we can with it to make their lives better, and we can build on top of it.
I think JFK also said, "Ich bin ein Bitcoiner."
I've been waiting for so long to make that joke. I've had that for like 10 years. I probably tweeted it. No one has ever liked it. So thank you all for doing that.
No, thank you so much. I got into the community to make friends. We met actually during a bear market. You were working at a restaurant, and I was pulling up at my boat that I needed to sell during that bear market. Actually, after that sale.
It was a yacht. It was a yacht.
But what we can do for Bitcoin is to continue doing this, have these types of conversations, and remember, like on the top, we can have all these like divisions and all these fights and everything, but if we are all Bitcoiners, if we all care and believe that what makes the world a better place, and from what started from however the world was created, was that loving kindness. If we continue putting out loving kindness, we continue giving each person, and the world is built on that. And so I fell in love with Bitcoin because of that. It's like every person that I ever meet that says, I love Bitcoin because of you, it just makes my life. So just continue doing that for people. Introduce them to Bitcoin. Don't push them too hard. When they like it, they'll find their own way in, and they're going to thank you later.
I'm going to go back to Florida. I'm still a state senator. We're going to pass that Bitcoin reserve bill that we almost got passed. As the new national chairman, we're going to continue to celebrate Bitcoin and accept it. So yes, you can give it any way you want. You can convert it to cash, borrow from it, but it's listen, we're open for business. We're going to continue to win elections. We're going to continue to push freedom as our main message. Thank you.
Yeah, look, I think it's just a matter of, I think most Bitcoiners understand that sound money is why the world is as broken broken as it is today. And I don't want my kids and my grandkids to grow up in a world that's like this. I want them to grow up more in the world that I grew up in. And so that's why I wrote the book. And the book is a tool that I would encourage you to read, and then I would encourage you to share it with others, because I think the only way we can do this is we need to have a citizenship that understands that this is really the issue. That a lot of, I wrote it because I was watching some blue-red debate, and I was like, these people are arguing about the color of the drapes and the house is on fire.
That's how I felt the other day.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, nobody's focusing on the real issue that matters, and the issue that matters is sound money. If we fix the money, a lot of the other problems will disappear naturally. So I think it really, we're all called to do. It's like, if you want to get involved, it literally starts with, the waitress, my plumber, my electrician, everybody I come into contact with, I'm selling Bitcoin. I'm just, download Strike, I'll send you $2. I'm always selling Bitcoin. And a lot of people don't even know about it, but they're open-minded, they listen. Here, take this book, read it. And, slowly but surely, we're going to have just an entire country of Bitcoiners. And, the Federal Reserve isn't going to exist. And it's going to be a beautiful.
It's a crazy thought that, for everything that every good society, we don't have a socialist communist board that sets the price of those goods. But for the most important good in all of society, the price of money itself, we have to have a communist board that's building a $3 billion palace to tell us what interest rates should be. It blows my mind. It's crazy. Guys, thank you so much for listening today.
Yeah, All right, my friends, thank you so much to our panel. Please give another huge round of applause. All right, my friends, we're getting towards the end of the day, but I promise you will want to stay for this next panel. So before we dive in, just sitting down, stand up, shake it out, just stretch, get the yayas out, focus your energy, your minds, because this one will be valuable. We're talking about consumer protection trends in Bitcoin. As we have seen adoption grow and thrive, as we've seen more corporate treasury companies, as we've seen the political candidates from various parties embrace Bitcoin, there's this potential conflict that has arisen. So this next panel is going to be focusing on that, exploring some of the things involved. We have an incredible panel. We have Nick Spanos, founder of the Bitcoin Center in 2013. We have Colin Crossman, who is the business director of the Wyoming Secretary of State's office. And finally, we have someone who is near and dear to my heart, Preston Fish, who is the co-founder of the Investors Podcast Network and GP of Ego Death Capital. And we all come to Bitcoin in different ways, but Preston Fish is someone who has personally had a huge impact on me as a Bitcoiner. He was someone that I listened to and was like, oh shit, I finally get this. So please put your hands together for our next panel, Consumer Protection Trends in Bitcoin.
Oh, thanks. This is sick, by the way. Oh, thanks, man. Every time I see you, I'm like, that's a sick jacket. Thanks. Hey. Oops. Dangerous. Oh, it's still streaming. You didn't mess it up. I didn't mess it up. It's not my water, though. Oh my gosh. Is that yours? No, I left it in there. Are you ready to go home or something? Jill?
So,
Good seeing you all.
yeah, I mean, this is still prime time, so we should keep the conversations going. We just saw a class act of a panel, Bring It Home, and these were panelists representing on behalf of Bitcoin Day, so we're super grateful for that. And wow,
It was
I
a
think
good
they did
panel.
it. They
The
did it
VIP
justice.
reception starts at 6.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's
The cocktail reception.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's
Okay.
probably what they mean by end, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. Cool. Is that at Georgetown University? Or is that here at the community
It's here,
center?
yeah.
Is that community center? Okay, cool. So we'll put Madison in the middle. So Madison, how did it feel to speak with Michael Saylor today?
It was surreal. I felt like, I've got to have a couple of little conversations with him, but nothing like that. Sitting there, both mic'd up. It's like a dream come true. And it's cool to be able to talk to him about some of the things I'm experiencing online and to hear like his honest opinion.
Mhm.
Also, I got to talk a little bit about the future being orange, which is something I've tried to bring to FGCU, and people think I'm a crazy person when I say that. So it's nice to hear him reinforce why the future is orange.
100%. So you heard it from the man himself, who coined the slogan, right?
Yeah.
But I just like, as I was listening to you and him speak, I just thought to myself, man, like, I hope the listener doesn't take it the wrong way, because you were essentially asking him to like address this this resistance, this like toxicity that people have towards Web3, which me as a Bitcoin first individual, like I get that, right? Like I don't want any other crypto to try to pretend like they're gonna replace Bitcoin, right? Like we know that's all bullshit. So essentially, trying to rival Bitcoin as a alternative money is a no-go for us, and we will not support that. But offering alternative decentralized tools that Bitcoin doesn't do, and that we don't want it to do, such as decentralizing the internet, that's where Web3 comes into play. And so really just making it clear from the start, we decentralized money, and now let's decentralize the internet. And then let's keep it going and decentralize the food supply chain and all these things too, right? And like, that's just going to require different blockchains. And if these follow the example that Bitcoin set, which we love and we support, and that's what we're here for, then we should be open to that, right? And I know that's like the gist of it, and you both understand that on a high level, right? But the average person who has this like immediate reaction to that word in and of itself, they have been probably burned one too many times by shitcoins, and we all had to have our learning experiences there, and you paid your tuition, right? And now you're very defensive for Bitcoin, and like we love that. Keep that going, right? But don't shoot the messenger when someone like Madison says, hey, like Web3 is just the evolution of the internet, right? Because that's a fact.
Exactly.
And how you use that technology determines your intention, and that will be evident, as you roll out those use cases. So again, the internet is now taking a new form, which is allowing for ownership. And we believe that the more people own of their life's energy, of their life's work, the better off we'll be, right? Rather than being commoditized and like, essentially commercialized by all kinds of interests, we take back that power. So be open to Web3 as long as you're hearing about it from someone like Madison, who only holds one asset.
Only one.
And so when she's talking about Web3, she's not talking about monetizing Web3, although there will be elements of that, but it's never to take away from Bitcoin. people say, oh, it inevitably will, right? You're going to take funds out of Bitcoin and blah, blah, blah. Dude, we don't want people to give up their Bitcoin. Hold your Bitcoin, keep it in a circular economy amongst one another, amongst each other, right? We're with Jeff Booth on this, who you got to speak to today as well.
That was cool.
What an incredible day it's been.
Yeah.
So just really wanted to make that clear that she is not trying to shield nothing ever. She will never, like sponsor some Haktua coin.
Yeah.
Right? She will always remain true to the mission. And Michael Saylor recognized that she understands it well and amplified that message. And here we are today to have a little follow-up discussion on, some of the reverberations we had on the internet. But on goes to discussion and be a part of it. And long term, you'll see that the message is clear, and the students on campus that she is talking to directly every day are buying Bitcoin.
Absolutely. I mean, it just makes me think, right when I started the crypto club, I got a lot of hate from Bitcoin maxis for calling it a crypto club.
Yep.
And I know my university, I know the average 18 to 22-year-old that's in college. And if you don't know anything about Bitcoin, why would you walk into a Bitcoin club?
Mm-hmm.
You truly have no idea what you're even talking about. And you're going to walk into a Bitcoin club and think that that's going to, be a welcoming environment. Now, if you call it a crypto club and they've maybe never heard of Bitcoin, but they got a little meme coin one time, that might be the introduction to just get them in the room.
Right. Lead them, like a lot of these people in one way or another found their way in, and now lead them to safety.
Yeah.
Right. So this is, I think it's a phenomenal approach. We do host a Bitcoin meetup, and but it's called Bitcoin and Blockchain, right? Although we only talk about Bitcoin, but we want to keep it like yourself, open to the idea of innovation, right? Because once again, there's so much room for disruption. So many industries that are going to benefit from removing centralized special interests that have undermined us at every turn. And it's human nature, right? History is what it is, and there's good and bad in everything, right? But at the end of the day, if you decentralize healthcare insurance brokers and all that, smart contracts in and of itself are a no-brainer, right? That's going to make so many people's lives better. Having that certainty,
Taking away the fraud,
right? Removing the element of trust, right? Because that's what we as Bitcoiners, that's what we're all about, is verify, right? Don't trust.
Verify.
You can trust, but verify. And really, at the end of the day, Madison makes that clear. So don't go assuming. Have these dialogues, right? Have these discussions.
Yeah.
Have these discussions on campus with people that you think are shitcoiners, right?
Exactly.
Find out why they're shitcoiners. They're probably shitcoiners just because they're desperate. They're looking for some kind of a quick pump, right? And make them aware, hey, although it's very enticing, and we understand why, you're looking for that kind of a, quick come up. 99% of the time, it doesn't work out, and you're gonna end up being the person that someone else is making money off of. So with Bitcoin, you regain that power. It's a slower process, but it also changes your perspective. And this is where Jill Ford, she just walked away. I wish I could have put her in now. This is where her mentality comes in, because she's humanizing Bitcoin, taking the core essence of what it does to people and having those conversations, right? On Orange is the New Jill, she's going to be talking about how Bitcoin changed the person, right? And that is something that it will do inevitably. It lowers your time preference, because you realize, all right, I might not become a millionaire overnight, but I'm definitely going to become more wealthy over time, if you're measuring in dollar-denominated value, right? But at the end of the day, everything is going to be consumed by the only true, scarce, truly scarce asset in existence. So stick around. Madison Hanson is launching a podcast where we are blessed in this industry to have the likes of Jeff Booth, the likes of Adam Back, the likes of Sansa Mao, the likes of Michael Saylor, the likes of all these interesting people involved in the industry, which big or small, all share a unique perspective and play their part. And she's going to be having these discussions and making it a lot more digestible for people, right? Because people like Matty Ice, our CEO, are very technical, right? They've been in the
Super
industry.
smart guy.
Right.
Sometimes it's hard to understand though, and sometimes you want to hear it on like a fifth grade level,
Yeah, like Eli 5 it for me, because
Exactly.
most of the time we assume people know the language, right? We assume that.
Yeah.
And there's a few terms, shout out 256, right? Like, what language are you speaking here, right? So when you drop these things on people without like laying the foundation, right, you lose them. And so Madison, coming from a place where like she grew up being a kid who got into Bitcoin early because her dad was into it and all this cool stuff. So like she has like a very like pragmatic relationship and understanding of it that really I think is perfect for orange pilling youth, right? Because they don't want to hear all the technical jargon. They want to hear that, hey, the future's orange.
That's
right?
all you need to know.
And it's like, what? Right? And you just get them thinking, like, what are you talking about? Right? You mean like the future's orange, like the word, like the sky's gonna turn orange? Right?
Maybe. It might.
And it makes them think, what are you even talking about? And then the new iPhone comes out.
Yeah,
right?
no, like I'm telling
and
you,
it's
these
orange.
things are not coincidences. The future is orange, and we are going to see more products, more companies adding orange into what they're doing because
Right.
it's a symbol of freedom.
Yes.
And that is what Bitcoin is.
Steak and Shake now,
Yeah.
like accepting Bitcoin, like you said, they're going to signal that they are on the right side of history, right? So orange is the new flag, right? You wave that orange flag and you signal to fellow freedom lovers that you're on their side, right? And I think that's a beautiful idea.
Yeah.
Let's go for it. In Ireland, on St. Patrick's Day, they make the river green, right?
Right. We should do that. We should do that.
We're not going to do that today, but perhaps one day when we've hit, max velocity, right? At that point in time, perhaps we can use some kind of a natural dye, right? Some kind of a natural phenomenon, some algae to turn some incredible historic, location into a symbol of adoption.
Yeah.
And honestly, even if it doesn't turn orange itself, we are in DC today at the Kennedy Center
Which is crazy.
literally
just to think about it.
Right. We're where these policy changes are made that impact the entire world. Right. So the fact that we are here, I think we're already coloring it orange. I think the hue is already noticeable if you look outside.
That's awesome. I think it's, crazy to think that we're at the first BTC in DC.
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
going to be ongoing. And
Right.
the conversations I've already had and heard on stage today has solidified that this is the future and we're
Yeah.
not turning back. And I can't wait to see what happens year after year and how much bigger this conference is going to get, but just how much bigger the conversations are going to get about these topics in DC. We have just a few Bitcoiners that are placed around our government, but pretty soon, I hope it's everybody is a Bitcoiner.
Eventually, that will be the case. The early comers are going to be very happy. They came sooner than later. The late comers, they'll be grateful for a new sound money standard to be in existence. But most people on Earth are just paycheck to paycheck, just getting by every day. And when the time comes and we move to a Bitcoin standard, they won't really notice the difference. Besides the fact that there's going to be a lot less war.
That's the number one thing.
Which even the average everyday person is going to be celebrating, right? So all of us are going to feel the symptoms. They might not see life-changing multi-generational wealth because they didn't come during this price discovery phase, right? They didn't come before the price discovery phase. But what they will realize and what we all will celebrate is a safer, more peaceful world that incentivizes cooperation, right? That rewards free market, negotiations and international trade through actual value exchange, not coercion or force, right? So that in and of itself is going to leave behind a much better future. So yeah, so much to be grateful for and to have these discussions here. Jill, can I pull you in? Awesome. Oh, you're good. So we've got Jill Ford in attendance. She is a human. Okay. So as
Here
I
I
mentioned,
am. Get out of the way.
you know, I'm out of here. So she humanizes this story, and that's the next phase, because we all understand now the financial element of it, right? It's undeniable. It's the best performing asset in all of human history. That speaks for itself. Now we must move past number go up and get to the core of why people Bitcoin, right? Because we don't just want people to do this for the financial gain, which is more materialism, right? Like we want to do this for freedom. And
Right.
Jill there's no better person than Jill and Charlie and these individuals who have lost their freedom for fiat funny business.
Yeah,
Right.
to say it nicely.
Right, to say it nicely, and then have the opportunity today to tell their story on how Bitcoin freed them.
Absolutely. Well, Bitcoin allows me to have more time, which is something that you can't ever get back. And when you lose it in prison, you start to really look at time and money in a different aspect, in a different light. So when that time is taken from you, you think when you get out of prison, it's like, well, how can I spend the most time with my family? And a lot of the re-entry back into the society issues are, well, I have to get a job and I have to, make ends meet, but now I'm a felon. What do I do? And so Bitcoin allows you to have more freedom and more time,
Right.
because it's a sound money, it's not inflated.
Right, but even before you find yourself in that desperate of a situation
Yes.
where you make a decision such as accepting a PPP loan, which seems very enticing at the moment,
Yes.
and quite a few people have gotten themselves into deep waters because of it, because you take on, you're essentially like enticed to take on this financial debt because it's made so easy. And so that being said, like
It's tempting.
Yeah, it tempts you, and you make choices that you normally wouldn't if you weren't desperate because of this never-ending inflation that's debasing our real. Like the average individual can barely plan for next week, right? We're literally just like trying to make that month, make our payments and our bills for that month work. So if you're in that kind of a situation, you're far more likely to make a choice that jeopardizes
Your freedom.
Yes.
Yes.
So, that lowering your time preference, because now you're saving a money that's actually accumulating in value, rather than you constantly, your dollar going, not going as far as it needs to. And so, very, very cool. Are you going on any interest? Are you jumping on any shows in the coming days? I heard you've got some exciting plans.
I'm going on Locked In with Ian Bick, and he was recently on Mr. Beast, which is really cool.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to talk to him about my journey.
Awesome conversations with
Yes.
very high profile individuals.
Yes.
So cool that you're finding yourself to that show.
Yes.
So many people are going to be grateful for that perspective, because not a lot of people on his show talk about Bitcoin. So you're going to orange pill his audience.
Yes, I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm ready. Honestly, Ian had made a comment about how he had paid off his restitution or part of his restitution. I was thinking, it's 0% interest. You have to put that into Bitcoin. So I definitely am excited to share with him about Bitcoin. Not that not paying off your restitution is important. It is important. But when you look at 0% interest that you're paying on your restitution versus gaining a lot of money on investing in Bitcoin, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Choose sound money every time. Then with your profits from Bitcoin, pay your restitution. Pay the feds.
Somebody's got to, there's something to be said about chipping in, contributing to the greater good, right? And if we really are operating on a hard money standard, on a sound money standard, the pie, the slices of the pie are scarce. And so therefore you're going to be very thoughtful as to how they're distributed. All right. And so if we're chipping in, if we're contributing to a very limited pool of resources, our elected leaders are going to be well aware of how much we're paying attention, of how invested we are. Where today it's all obfuscated, right? We don't know what is going. We're taxed far more than Egyptian slaves were thousands of years ago, and we're not rioting. Why? Because we're essentially placated with materialism, and this is the rat race. This is the fiat, funny business. And so essentially, for the first time, we get a chance, like Larry Lepard just said on stage. This is like the peasants' revolt, like the most successful ever, right? Because for the first time, we get to actually, excuse my vulgar, we get to decapitate the king without actually physically needing to do so, right? So,
Very true.
right, like this is fucking awesome.
We're taking back what's been stolen.
Yeah.
Our time,
right,
our money.
without any bloodshed. What? This is incredible. So anybody that understands the essence of that and has any idea of history, this is another thing in school. Like you're dealing with college students all the time. We see all these videos online of people going around asking an average student like what our capital is, how many states are in America and stuff and they don't know these answers.
Yeah.
Like they're intentionally being underserved so that they don't have the ability to it's like a fish in a fishbowl.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you don't know you're in a fishbowl, like you don't realize there's this great ocean out there, right? And that's essentially what they're doing to these college students. They're putting them in fishbowls, right? And so it's like we need to crack it open and have like a catch, a vault and a catch plan in place, which really is Bitcoin, because you start there and then it leads you down the rabbit hole, and you regain your sovereignty. You regain the ability to have critical thinking, to question, to research, to not just trust, to not delegate. To not delegate your understanding to a third party. The same way you don't delegate your Bitcoin to a third party, right? Like you self-custody. If you want to, play in the volatile DeFi markets and do yield and all this stuff, right? Go for it. The free market, go for it.
Have fun.
Right. But like understand what the game is, and therefore you're entering a level playing field, casino, whatever, right? But Madison, just out of curiosity, I have a kid, and I got my kid into Bitcoin many years ago.
Yeah.
And I essentially started a Bitcoin piggy bank for him, right? And that really orange pilled him, because at a young age, he realized, wait, my $5 turned into $50, right? Like what?
Yeah.
And then like that $50 turned into like $3,000.
Yeah.
Like so that's gonna like blow a kid's mind, right? And so like when he saw the $5 turn to $50, he said, "Hey, Dad, like, can I put more in?" I'm like, "Absolutely, yeah." And he said, "Okay, cool. Like, I'm gonna put all my chore money in Bitcoin." And I'm like, "Absolutely, awesome." And so I did tell him, I'm like, "Look, this is a long-term play here. Like, we're gonna leave it in until you're like, until you're an adult, right?" And he gets that. But every now and then he's like, "Hey, like I want to buy this new Lego set, and like, it's up like so much right now." And I tell him, "Look, man, we can work something out, right? But we're not touching Bitcoin until you're older. And trust me when I say you're going to be happy about that. Right now, you may not understand that, but we're going to figure out a way to get you at Lego set." So just out of curiosity, like being a kid who grew up with a father who was into Bitcoin,
yeah.
What was that moment that it clicked for you?
I think, honestly, because I grew up middle class, I'm an only child, so I had the illusion of being spoiled and, always having everything
Same
I
with
wanted.
my kid. Yeah.
But, my parents were struggling. Like, they lived paycheck to paycheck.
Same with my kid.
Every single week. And when I realized that, like, it clicked for me was when my dad wanted to buy it so bad, but he didn't have the money. And I could see the sadness and, like, the hurt inside of him that, like, I want to be a part of something and I can't because I don't have the money to. And then, of course, like, you get an extra side job or something and you get some money and you put it into Bitcoin, but then the next month it's always something. There's always a bill or a car part, and that money had to be used in order for, like, our family to continue and for us to not be in a bad situation. So I think seeing my dad, like, just feel the frustration of getting to buy at a low and then having to sell it and use it for something, I realized, wow, like you really care about this. And he cared about it more than money, because he would always look at his phone. I wish that I had the money to buy. I wish I could buy a whole Bitcoin right now. And it was so just a couple $1,000s for one Bitcoin. I remember feeling like, I wish I could help. Like, I wish I could give you the couple $1,000s. But that's why, I realized we just grew up poor. That's how it was. And I just kept learning about it. And then when I came to college, that's when I had some extra money. And I thought, I'm going to put it into Bitcoin.
Wow. Well, I will say as a dad, nothing makes a parent happier than to see their kid thriving and happy and successful and pursuing the right things. So that's something that money can't buy.
Yeah.
And that's something that you're doing. And although you may not see it as a gift, it is. So whatever money he was lacking to buy Bitcoin at the time, I think just seeing this, you having taken away that out of that situation probably made it worth it for him.
Yeah.
He's probably gonna look back and be like, yeah, that sucked, but like now Madison is on fire and is probably gonna end up running some huge Bitcoin company in the future.
That'd be cool.
And we'll just laugh about these days.
Yeah.
Right. And then we can inspire the other because most people in America are paycheck to paycheck. Most kids in America do not save. Right. Like investment vehicles are that's foreign language, right? That's elitist talk.
Yeah.
Right. Like IRAs, stuff like that. It's most people are in your situation, are in my son's situation, right? Where we're essentially feeling the symptoms of inflation every day, right? Like going to the grocery store, I kid you not, it's crazy,
no.
Right? Like $600 at checkout, right? I'm like, holy, this is nuts.
You don't
right?
even have 3 kids.
Yeah.
I'm spending $600 weekly for groceries.
Seriously, yeah,
or
that's
no,
what it is.
maybe twice a week. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's insane. If you're trying to eat a decent diet, you're getting destroyed. And so, how do we fight this? And it's hilarious. Every now and then, my kid, he'll be like, "Hey, can we do this? Can we do that?" I'm like, "Hey, man, essentially, this month, we gotta lay low a little bit. We're gonna make it work, but I can't spend on these things right now.
I don't have disposable income right now.
And he'll literally be like, well, why don't we just use some of my Bitcoin? No, we're not doing that. And he's like, you're so sweet. He wants to help, right? But
that's how
I try to tell him, no, it's okay. Don't worry about it, because we're gonna figure out a different way, right? But one thing that I thought was an interesting little orange pill moment with him was when he was talking about how he might go back in time to buy these, it wasn't for Bitcoin at the time. He said, hey, Dad, I want to figure out how to build a time machine, right? So I want to go back in time and buy all these Pokemon cards, that are super rare today, but back when they were just coming out, right? That's when we buy them and hold them, and then now they'll be very valuable, right? And I told him that's a great idea, right? But I said, son, you know what's a lot easier than building a time machine? I said, buying Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right? And he was just like, what do you mean? I'm like, son, you're going to look back on this moment one day and say, man, if I could get a time machine to go back when I was 9 years old, right, and buy Bitcoin, right, I would do that. Right? I was like, so let's not have that moment when you're 30, right?
Yeah.
Let's do that right now. Let's buy Bitcoin right now, because in 30 years, in 21 years, you're going to wish you had a time machine to go back. So the beauty is we are still early, even though it may not feel like that, right? We're kind of stuck at 120K, whatever, but we're still early. Our market cap compared to other asset classes is tiny. And the mathematical engineered element of true scarcity is undeniable. So the people are finding out, and nation states are finding out, right? And once we hit peak velocity, which we're seeing happen, we just saw happen to gold, right? We just saw gold rocket, because guess what? The train ain't slowing down, right? Even with this administration, it was doing, talking a big talk with regards to cutting spending. When push comes to shove, there's no slowing it down. Like Lennon says, right? Like there's no stopping this train. And like Larry Part is saying, the big print. We thought 20, the COVID stimulus was a big print, which it was. When we find ourselves in the inevitable spiral, they're going to react as always. And it's the everyday people who are paycheck to paycheck who are going to pay the price. And the future that's going to lead into is more and more dependence on government. And we all know that historically speaking, every time we delegate our responsibilities and our freedoms and our well-being to a third party, that eventually that leads to slavery, basically. All throughout history, anytime governments became essentially welfare states, they eventually wanted to find a way to separate themselves from the dependents. And that never ends in a peaceful way. So study history, get caught up to date. If you don't have a Bitcoin club at your school, hit up Madison, right?
Yes.
Ask her how she got started, because she went up against, like, this was before Bitcoin was cool.
Yeah.
Like, you started this club, and so she has learned the ropes. Reach out, right? The beauty of this industry is that we're all human beings. We're not pretending like we're some celebrity. Like, we are in it not for flattery, for ego, for all that. It's really so that we leave behind a better world. And so reach out, and like we did with Jeff Booth and Michael Saylor, they are humans. They will talk to you because we're all fighting the same fight here. So again, like, thanks for being with us on this journey, for tuning in, and support Jill Ford with her new venture. She's got a mining company, so she is a lot more friggin' like experienced and qualified than anybody knows. All the people in the industry know who Jill is.
Oh, you're
right?
so sweet. Thank
It's
you.
so true. They all love her. So like, y'all are about to find out.
You're
And
gonna find out a
Madison-
different side of me.
Yep, you're gonna get to know her. She's a hustler in the mining industry, but on a with her personal story, you're going to likely relate in ways that you couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
And so support that. We just launched a new channel, Humble Beginnings. Orange is Jill on X. Orange is Jill. Orange is new Jill across all platforms. We're launching a new platform for Madison Hanson, which is just going to be Madison Hash across all platforms. So, do support, stay in the loop, stay up to date, and you'll get to see the collective efforts lead us even beyond where we are today, right? What's the next stopping point? We're in DC. What's the next stopping point? Are we where are we going next?
I don't know.
It'll be exciting, that's for sure. You just got back from Hong Kong.
Back from Hong Kong.
Yeah. So
it's orange over there too.
checked off.
Yeah.
Right. So hostile territory. I've been hearing interesting. We were just talking to the CFO of Hive, who you'll be interviewing soon. So you'll hear the whole story. But apparently they are facing all kinds of discrimination in Europe now, in Sweden, out of all places. They're being debanked. They're essentially having like a hostile takeover of their mining companies, of their Bitcoin mining companies. So to think that that's happening today, right? So you know what? The next stopping point might have to be Sweden. You might have to send the reinforcements. Send Larry Lepard out there, right? They'll get their act together real quick. So together we are powerful, and that's what Larry keeps saying. Is like we're a lot more together than those select few trying to manipulate all these things. So
We just have to believe it.
yes, we got to believe it, and we got to support one another. Really, like together you go faster. I mean, alone you go faster. Together you go further, right? And these are just facts. So do give them a follow. Stay up to date, right? Challenge them. If you have a question, ask it. Like, don't shy away. If you see them in person, give them a hug, right?
I'm a hugger. Yeah, me too.
and if-
I probably need one right now.
Oh, come here.
Oh man, group hug.
Love it. And if the future is orange, if you believe it.
Even Apple thinks the future's orange.
Right.
We were just saying that. That's funny.
She was like telling her friends, see, it's like.
Told you.
Yeah. So, let them know wear an orange t-shirt, wear an orange cap. If you want to be subtle, put on some orange socks.
Dye your hair orange.
That's very out there.
Yeah.
Very out there. Whatever. More power to you. Dr. Sean Baker.
I have not been able to find the team all day.
My man. Dude, it's
How
been a
are
fascinating
you?
day. Guys, could you jump on with us for a second?
Jump on.
We're just live streaming right now.
I'm in the middle of
No, you're good. No, please,
No.
Dr. Sean Baker.
We're just
randomly talking.
Look, this is the beauty of this industry. We have this gentle giant, Dr. Sean Baker, here in the Capitol with us.
That's right.
Orange pilling these politicians and these policymakers, and essentially advocating on sovereignty, on freedom. And what he does, and he's a living example of the opposite of misinformation, of the opposite of a misinfluencer, right? In upside down world, they're trying to frame him as such. But if you look at this gentleman right here, he is the living proof of health, right? So follow his advice. Learn how to take ownership over your health. And this is the thing. If you understand something fully, you can explain it simply, right? And that's what he does. He's not trying to get you to buy 1,000 supplements. Madison Hanson's not going to get you to sign up to some kind of a Ponzi scheme, pyramid scheme that sells you some shit coin, right? Jill's not going to sell you nothing you don't need. It's really about getting the word out that gives you the power to make the right choices and leaves it at that. So that being said, thanks for joining us, man. Like, we had Michael Saylor on, we had Jeff Booth on. Like, all these individuals are so generous with their time, right? Just coming and chatting with us. And so just out of curiosity, you've been here for a full day now. What's your takeaway?
Of the event or DC?
Of the event, of just the atmosphere here amongst the Bitcoiners.
Well, I mean, it's very optimistic. I think, the longer Bitcoin is in existence, the more proof of work there is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, it's obviously continuing to grow, to continue to expand, continuing to inspire people. I'm learning a lot. It's something that the more I see about it, the more obvious it is this is the future. And I think that's something that hopefully whoever's listening will start to step in and join, because the people who don't are going to get left behind, unfortunately. That's a real concern here. But yeah, no, it's been great. I've been having fun, meeting some neat people. Meeting some people I hadn't seen in many, many years. It's kind of funny. The first time I've ever been in DC. I'll tell you a funny story. I went to go eat lunch at Fogo de Chao, so I loaded up on steak, and I was walking back, and I hear this guy yelling my name and running at me.
Oh,
right? And I was like, it's a Secret Service guy.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what the hell's going on?
That would have scared me.
Yeah, so I was kind of a little bit disconcerted. So yeah, but he came up and he was like, oh man, I know. He said, I lost 60 pounds and my life is so much better. I feel so much better. I'm telling everybody about it. And he gave me all this Secret Service patches and stuff like that.
Look at this. This is so cool.
That was cool.
Wow.
Coin here.
How awesome.
My Secret Service coin.
Wow.
Yeah. So he works here in DC. His name's Agent Ray. Real nice guy.
How cool is that?
And and he said, "Hey, I'll give you a tour of the White House." So I was like,
"What?
Cool. Yeah.
You got a tour?"
Well, he said he would give me one. He said, "Anytime I'm in town." No, well, next time. Call him next time I'm in town. He'll give me one. So
let's take one right now, shall we? Follow us.
We all
That is so cool, man.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think this is my first time in DC, so it's kind of a neat place. Yeah.
It really is.
And I will say, every time we walk down the street together, Dr. Sean Baker, we just did a few episodes on his podcast. He was so generous with his time to join us in Naples, Florida at our podcast studio, and we had a lot of fun. Lot to follow up on there, but every time we're out and about, somebody comes up and says, Dr. Sean Baker, I've been following your work a lot, and shares their story, right? And this is, I kid you not, every time that we step outside, right? So he's not going to let it get to his head. It's really, this is the beauty. These are the fruits of the labor, right? You do it for the right reasons, and these people aren't here to to essentially flatter you or fanboy you. They're really just genuinely expressing their gratitude for the information that you shared with them, right? Because that information is what changed.
Well, I mean, and it gives you that sort of, it seems random. I mean, it's not like there's paid actors, and it's just completely random and spontaneous income. So you know it actually works.
Right.
What I'm sharing is something that is
Exactly.
impacting people's lives significantly. So it's fun. It's fun to be able to do that. It's totally awesome.
Love it, man.
And I think you probably, same thing with Bitcoin. You've taken people that you've improved their life through Bitcoin. Same thing. It's,
Absolutely.
Proof of work across the board. So.
Absolutely, man. What else is on the agenda for today? Are you sticking around for a little bit longer?
Well, I Maddie said there's something tonight.
There is some VIP cocktail lounge thing.
Okay, because I was told that they wanted me to go to something. I didn't know. I was like, I don't know what it is. So
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Now,
They just
Maddie
had
and
their-
Maddie and I ran this one.
I know. And honestly, just so you are aware, we were up until like 5 in the morning.
Oh yeah.
Right. So he got no sleep.
Yeah.
And then he gets out there. I like, knowing how he was in high school and in college, like he played football, right? So no matter how long we partied, he would get up for practice, right? So I kind of expected it, but I still was impressed because myself, for the last 3 days, I've been getting no sleep. And this morning, man, like it hit me. Like I tried to get up. I was like, okay, if I do get up now, the rest of the day I'm gonna feel like trash, right? So I gave myself that extra hour of sleep. I'm glad to see y'all two get after it out there, And if I were on carnivore, maybe I'd have more energy.
Right.
I'm gonna have to give it that good old college try.
Yeah.
Well, did you talk about Madison's weightlifting career? I think it's very impressive what she's done.
You actually told me about it. She's so humble that she's never shared it, right? So why don't we hear about it now?
Yeah.
Madison's weightlifting career.
Yeah.
I mean, clean and jerk at 114 weight class.
Yeah, I was 114 pounds at state, and I put up 160 pounds over my head, clean and jerk, and I was 6th in the state. And then our team was actually runner-up. So we got 2nd place at state, and it was like the first time that our school went there for the women's team, and it changed my life. I walked into the weight room because I wanted to get stronger for golf, and I heard if I lift weights, I'll have a faster swing. And then I got roped in, and they said, "Oh, you're gonna do this for real. You're gonna compete." And yeah, I fell in love with it. The year that I started is when they implemented the snatch lift, which used to not be part of high school weightlifting, but it was really cool to be at the forefront of that because I really love doing the snatch lift, and it was so new that nobody knew what they were doing. So it was like an even playing field when we started.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, it's proof of work. You're apparently a disciple of earnest, honest work, right? And when you enter something where there is no shortcuts, and you earn it, the good old fashioned way, it sticks with you for life, right? You don't take shortcuts. You earn the real. You earn the benefits. So I was just talking to my buddy. We're in our 30s now, mid-30s. Lucas and Maddie, right? We're walking to a conference this morning, and they're both talking about their injuries and all their ailments and stuff, all their their pain in their foot and all these different things. So I'm just thinking to myself, I just saw Dr. Sean Baker dunk like 3 days ago. I'm like,
yeah.
I wonder if like, I just said it to him. I said, guys, like, Dr. Sean Baker just, proved that like we don't have to accept this, right? Like we can make some changes. And I know, like for myself, like I'm in pretty good shape, but I'm also taking advantage of the fact that I'm young. Right? I'm getting away with a lot of stuff that I won't as I continue to get older. Right, so that's where I'm realizing, man, I better make some lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
Never too early to take care of your health. For sure.
So one other thing real quick, just while we have you here, and I'll cut you loose because I'm known for keeping people verbally hostage, but only people that deserve it because they have great things to say, right? And Dr. Sean Baker, since you're taking the stage tomorrow to discuss honest money and honest incentives, right? That general theme. I just thought, who better than to talk about that, right? Like coming from this medical background where you lost your license at one point, you got it back, fighting them for 3 years, which I'm sure was incredibly frustrating. But during that process, losing your license for doing what was right, essentially healing people outside of their network, which they considered essentially a conflict of interest, right? Where you thought that the number one priority of these healthcare systems in these hospitals would be to help people. But if it's done in a way that isn't profitable, perhaps that then goes against their business model. So I just thought to myself, since you found yourself in a way, you followed that honest incentive, that incentive of honesty, and it got you in trouble, right? So I'm thinking, they created a monster, man. They pissed off the wrong guy, right? And here we are today, and you just started Rivero, which is essentially disrupting Big Pharma's grasp on medical care. And I'd love for you to tell us a bit more about that, because when I first heard about it, I thought, oh, this is going to be some super expensive, like specialized premium thing that's going to have to have some crazy insurance for and stuff. But then I learned that that's not at all the case, right? So I'm thinking, wait a minute, how come not everybody's talking about this? All Bitcoiners should be talking about this, right? Because we as Bitcoiners, we believe that, we must preserve our life's energy in order to do what? To die young? To die early? No, to live a more fulfilling life, right? And what goes hand in hand with sound money is sound food and health, right? So at the end of the day, that's something money can't buy, right? So I just love to hear from the source, like, what is Rivero up to? What are you up against? And how can we help?
Well, I mean, thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak about this. You mentioned the incentives. So, I mean, as our healthcare system now and all the physicians that work in it, and many of them are wonderful, wonderful, hardworking, caring people, but they're trapped in a system whose incentive is to just medicate everyone. It's not so much curing or making people healthy. It's just medicating people for life, and we call it disease management. That is the care model that's out there for the most part. And the healthcare system, in the United States, we spend $5 trillion a year diagnosing and then diagnosing and drugging, basically. That's what we do for chronic disease. And there's no real thought to, should we get these people off medication? Should we prevent the disease? Should we treat the disease at the root cause? And for good or bad, the root cause treatment generally is just lifestyle related stuff. It's nutrition, it's sleep, it's activity and exercise, it's stress management, it's circadian biology are the major pillars. And as a physician, you're given almost zero resources to do those things. Not only you're not educated in it in any significant way unless you do it yourself, you just don't have the resources. And so as I started to realize that, the people I was working for, money was the main priority. The patient care was secondary. I didn't like that aspect. And so, as you mentioned, I had a lengthy battle. Eventually, I was vindicated, and said, you were in the right. But the period of time I went through there jaded me enough to where I'm like, I have to do something different. We can't just complain about the system.
Yes.
It's kind of like, people that maybe the early founders of Bitcoin were seeing there's real problems with the system. What are we going to do about it?
Exactly.
And this is an attempt, and so far a successful attempt to change that. So we have now, we launched our company from idea to seeing our first patient took about 1.5 years. We were able to raise money through crowdfunding, fortunately, and we hired engineering team to build out the product. We licensed physicians in all 50 states. We built out a care team. So we've seen hundreds and hundreds of patients now, and have gotten wonderful results. Got all kinds of people off medications. Put just a ton of disease into remission. And so at this point now we're scaling. So we're doing more fundraising from the community, because our thought is if we can get it from the community, then we're not beholden to any venture capital firm whose interest would, of course, obviously only be financial. So that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're doing. So far, it's going pretty well. But if you're interested, let people know about it. If you're interested in owning part of that, getting equity in what we're doing, we'd love to see that as well. So
incredible. Like the fact that you can own equity in what seems to be the new, innovative, hopefully mainstream alternative to traditional care, right? And one thing he said to me that really stuck with me, he says, after 3 to 6 months, you hope to never see your patients again, right? Which is funny, right? Because you think 3 to 6 months, right? You never want to see them again. Like, does that mean that does not sound like a good business model, right? So you flipping the script upside down, not for profit incentives, but actually because you care about healing people, which is your Hippocratic oath as a doctor, right? That's more Bitcoin than that's big. That's like Bitcoin in its essence.
Right? I mean, so if you look at the greater good for society,
their lives, their life.
No, you're good. What's going on?
I just want to introduce Sean.
Okay, hold on. So we have.
I have to take a pause.
So we've got some awesome people. They want to see Dr. Sean real quick. So look, go on Republic if you've never heard of it. Republic is a crowdfunding VC platform where people can raise funds for all kinds of cool ideas. It is a huge platform. And right now on Republic, sorry, I'm like talking. We got the ladies in the shot, but y'all chime in, please. Just to wrap this up though, on republic.com, if you go to republic.com/Rivero, you can see their fundraiser in real time. And they're actually trending on the platform. They've already raised, they're already halfway to their goal in like a week or something. It's incredible. So every day people, because they see how genuine this guy is, like he lives the life, right? And like, he's not a businessman, he's a doctor. Like that's who I want building the future of healthcare, right? Yeah. Not businessmen looking to literally like profit off of sick care. Like I'm fucking sick of it. Yeah. I'm sick of it, right? Instead of turning to violence, open up your pocketbook and support people building the world we want to see, right? So that's how we can all get together and support. You can use your feet, you can use your voice, you can use your pocketbook. Be active, be proactive, right? So all that said, like incredible the amounts of people, the kinds of people we have in attendance here, like truly humbling. You know, Dr. Sean Baker's been on Rogan twice because Rogan also is someone who cares about the truth, right? So he platformed him when mainstream media wrote him off as a kook, right? And he said, this guy, like, he looked into it for a second and realized, like, this guy is probably more qualified than anybody to weigh in on this subject, right? Being a licensed MD and his background in and of itself, look into him. His story is incredible, all around America. So all that said,
Awesome.
Shall we wrap it for now?
Yes, let's wrap it for now.
Our feet are hurting.
Yes, they are hurting.
We need some of those insoles, you know?
Yeah. My back.
But y'all, it's been fun hanging out. There is going to be continued discussions, but we're going to go to the VIP lounge real quick, and we're probably going to pull someone over, and Matty Ice will pick up the conversation from there. So for now, just hang tight, hang out, take a bathroom break. You know, we'll be back. Cool.
Now, you got photos, reviews.
Yeah. What I was seeing consistently was so I said, well, let's see if we can continue this. So I ended up
all right.
And talking to the administration.
One, two, three. Great. Okay, check it out. Make sure it's to your license.
So anyway, I ended up leaving.
All right, team. Go. Please go.
It's crushing. Well, they had some crazy bullshit stuff. And then, you know, so the state medical board said, hey, we need to find a year, surrender license. What state? And then they said, or you can go to this place in Denver that does evaluation and get it back. I said, probably that. They immediately said, no, that was my 3 weeks later. At that time, I'm already this is stupid. So now, 3 years ago, we raised some money to start a company called Novera. Basically, you know, racism is so change nutrition, and that now is actually consistent to it. We're seeing fat people, diabetics, autoimmune disease, metabolic disease, inflammatory conditions, and off bed, personal disease, take a lot of money. So, we basically raised, got the engineering team, developed software, hired all the qualifications, coaches, got the contracts with the labs, and we kind of proof of work that we can do what we need to do. So now we're skating, so we're doing it. So we want to go ahead and so that's kind of where I'm at. Cool.
I'm in for that all day long. My wife had PCOS and she's in trouble. She's like, so she's done everything right. She's like, I don't understand. She's on diet, she's this, she's that. And she's like, what do I turn to? Ozempic? You know, like, and I was like, nah, there's something about that ain't flying by. And it's something not right about that. So I'm
I think that's like a nuclear
I'm all
option.
for health. My dad was 6'2", 400 pounds at one point. Kind of lived by the whole, I'll just die fat kind of thing. And I promise I have 4 kids and a grandson. Not living like that. 48. I know. It's crazy for me to say that shit.
I got 12 to 19, 4, I'll be like 7.
Yeah, I was like, I'm early. I had him at 21, so, and I just, it's mind-blowing to see grandson. But I wrote a thing in my calendar, literally, like when my son was born. That was the only grandkid he saw. And I put something in the calendar. I said, the day that my son's the age I was when my dad died, when I was that age, I'll make sure I can still throw a football, whatever it was. And I literally, when I go, hey Caleb, guess what today is? And he didn't know. I'm like, you're the age I was when my dad died. Let's go throw some routes. He was like 21, you know what I mean? Almost 22 years old, basically. I can still throw the ball 50 yards. And I feel like I did that because I watched my dad suffer. And then he contrasted heart failure. And it's so preventable. Here's drugs.
It's disease management. I remember hearing this term disease management about, I don't know, 5 years into practice. I started in the 80s. And I remember what was disease management. It's like, oh, you just want to medicate people. That's where current business model. We went fix them only for 6 months. Because we fix them like that.
I wish my mom's almost 80, and she's just, my dad took all these pills, and my mom, and she's just taking, I'm like,
bro, if you
stop, the doctor's not correct. I promise you this. If the doctor's not good, her husband's in a coma. And we're like, he's not in a coma, just keep dragging him up.
I'll tell you what, bro.
We made him take him off the medicine. Woke up, was alive for 4 more years, was fine. And I'm like,
I'll tell you what, you paid him $169 a month, and his fucking team will back the hell.
That's good. That's what I told him. I told him all that.
No, I just invested in the bigger business.
No, yeah, that's what he's looking for right now. They're just doing
Well, they
great.
were raising on me, like I said, we do actually, one of the things we would be proud because one that keeps DC out of our neighbors and who's tackle and also
The sharks.
Yeah, the sharks. And so like we of course we do stuff.
You have a card?
I don't have a card, but I can.
Oh, we'll link us
I'll
up.
link you guys up. We'll talk. Have you ever used Republic? If I show you that shit, you're gonna become
When I focus on something, I'm like, it's ABA.
Do you want him to do it through Republic if he wants to invest, or you?
Yeah. So we got something, if you do like a lot, we can do it. Put some Republic, like it's Republic allows you to invest.
People that believe in it, that have a little cash to spend, right?
It's cool. It's cool. It's like,
You feel like you're the owner or you're involved in something.
you're getting in.
Last time we raised $3 million for 3,000 you know, it's just
How much are you guys trying to raise right now?
We're trying to raise $5 million over the next.
Okay.
It's like a student extension.
That'll
That'll help us to get in. That's going to help us get in.
Almost angel.
So we know each other through like Picasso. You ever heard of Picasso? No. It's like
PACASO.
It's like a share.
Fractional ownership of homes. Like luxury. So that's how we met. We swapped the house. I went to Wyoming, he went to San Diego. I went to his house. I went to my home.
It's fucking.
Oh, it's amazing.
I have a fractional share. I don't want to pay $30 million a year.
I had my drone up over it. I
was in China for 5 years.
No, Jackson is unbelievable. Fucking lots of this place in San Diego too.
San Diego's
I was born in That's crazy. No, I played sports. I played college football, so like I look back and go, why the fuck did I surf? I'm taking my kids out there. We go on Friday morning to go surfing because the waves are big right now. I'm like, I want to go take them because I didn't have that experience. My dad was a football coach for 30 years. Criminal defense by day, coaching in the ghetto at night. And that's where we were. That's where we grew up.
It's so cool.
I know.
Super cool.
It's good to meet you. We'll be in touch.
Well, dinner tonight.
I was going to ask you because you told me how to do something. I didn't know what it was.
I want a ribeye. I want a ribeye so bad.
I went to Fogo de Chao for lunch today.
Oh, Fogo de Chao. Oh, Brazilian steakhouse.
So here's a funny. So I'm walking back from Fogo de Chao here. So And I hear this, Dr. Baker. He's like, Jesus, what the fuck am I doing? And he goes, oh man, dude, I've been funny. I want to hear that. I lost 60 pounds. I feel wonderful. He gave me all this fake Secret Service packages. Dude, man, that's it. Secret Service boy. He said, man, I'll be talking to your White House area too. That's part of the deal. So he said, next time you're in town, he said I need about 2 weeks to. Well, I think it was a film. Here we go. Can I have your flash? Go over to this
I mean, they definitely had drinks there, but the schedule said that it was.
Okay, yeah, I'm just
Actually, hey, Israel, I actually realized I have a little bit more work to do right here. All right, y'all. We are going upstairs to the terrace, which is like the top floor, has a gorgeous view here at the Kennedy Center, and they're having a special dinner that all the speakers were invited to. So for now, we're going to cut the stream. Thanks for hanging with us. You've been looking at the Kennedy Center, which is in real life even more cool, like incredibly, like it's really breathtaking when you walk in. The grand, like truly the prestige, the excellence, the grandy, I'm tongue twisted, but definitely check it out. Put it on your bucket list at some point in time. Hopefully next year, BTC and DC will be back at the same venue, and Bitcoin Day will once more be co-organizing, because this year seems to have already been a great success, even though we still have one more day to go. So tune back in tomorrow. We will be back on live streaming the whole day and picking up with a bunch more awesome conversations with all these amazing speakers that are here. So stay tuned, and thanks for being a part of this.